Hello? Is this thing on?
Hello, and welcome to Hold Up, a Movie Podcast. Last time we surfed the boob tube. This time we surf the net and walk on the webs. So join us as we hack the plots and keep our puns akimbo. Because tonight, our theme is the internet. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn. With me, as always, my co-host, Chris Worldmind Murphy. How you doing,
I didn't
Murphy?
just drop my cat. I didn't drop my cat at all.
What?
What are you talking about? No.
I
So you
didn't
were
just
looking
kick
for
my
something
cat
else,
down the
or-
stairs by accident either, so
So
don't worry
no,
about it.
not at all. She's perfectly fine.
We have two special guests tonight. Two buddies of
Cool
mine from
guys.
long time. Andrew Chow and Kyle Hill. How's it going, fellas?
That's us.
You guys. Yeah,
Hey.
you guys. How are you now, fellas?
Oh, hey. Doing
Can
well.
they read my name on the screen there?
Yeah, that should be up. Hold on. Oh, here it is.
Shit, Kyle, we're famous
Here we
now,
go.
bud. Big day. Big day,
Hey,
buds.
now you can.
Why?
Chow 5L07H.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sloth?
Okay. Yeah, that's
Sloth.
my hacker name. That's my hacker handle. Obviously, I came
Sloth.
prepared and no one else did.
Oh my
No,
god,
that's
I
not.
didn't.
That's not true. I came prepared. I have my handle, as you can clearly see. It says Worldmind. Davin doesn't.
Thank you.
He's just Davin.
Davin's
you
an
know?
interesting
Thank you.
word. You don't see that a lot. What
Some
about Kyle?
professionalism here.
Yeah, I didn't come prepared with the hacker name. I'm sorry.
I like Chow's hacker name because it's
the first
Sloth.
one.
He just hacks really, really slowly. It's like, is somebody hacking us? I can't tell. It's just happening so slowly. But yeah, this is our 12th episode of our first season. We're going to talk about the internet tonight, aren't we, Murphy?
Davin's favorite subject in the world.
You know, this, I got to tell you, this did not go at all as I thought it would go. I got this episode surprised the hell out of me. These three movies. Yeah,
Murphy,
my
what did
biggest
you mean by
surprises
that?
so far.
Davin's
well,
favorite.
I just, if you know Davin, like I know Davin, and most that know Davin,
The hippie up there, yeah.
he's not a fan of most things internet that are generally considered like, pop culture or what most people would use. He just like Twitter. We'll take that for instance. Not a big
I
fan.
don't like Twitter.
No. I've seen him on the TikTok doing those dances.
Oh, well, you gotta send me that because I'm gonna need proof of it. That is vital information the world needs to see.
That was a private link, Chow. Thanks.
So yeah,
Thanks a lot.
It's interesting to see
Private no longer.
See his choices for these movies, and my experience with these movies were painful, surprisingly good, and more painful. That's how I felt with these three films so far.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well,
they're all bad, but they're all awesome at the same time for different reasons.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Well, actually, Guns Akimbo is just straight bad, but we'll talk about that. Yeah.
You're gonna talk about that. Yeah, I know, Murphy. I'm gonna blow Murphy's mind later. You guys are gonna see it live. Origin stories. You go first, Chow. You're directly below me. What's with you in movies?
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but out of high school, I wanted to make movies. I wanted to go into the film industry, but being Asian and having Asian parents, that's not the thing to do. You got to be a doctor, architect, lawyer, that kind of thing. So I went to university, didn't take any of those things. And then after a couple of years of university, I decided to try to get into film school at NCC. And of course, I didn't have the background to get in. So like they have hundreds of applicants every year. And I didn't get in, and I got sidetracked into doing photography instead. So I worked in like you should just do photography. I'm like, okay. And I did that for several years, almost 10 years. And now I don't do anything related to that at all. I just I sit at a computer and draw straight lines.
It's never too late. We're doing big things here in the United Federation of Podcasts.
Sorry.
Never too late.
And that's it in a nutshell.
Kyle, how about yourself?
Very
What,
good,
what
very
is your origin story?
My movie origin story?
Yeah, what's with you in movies?
What's
That's
with
what I asked.
me in movies? So
Yeah.
I would say that in my youth and young adult life, I was huge into movies and would watch any and all movies I possibly could. So a lot of movies circa 98 to 2003 were very formative for me. And then I feel like there's a certain point, maybe around 2010-ish, where I just stopped watching a lot of movies because I felt like it was just a lot of the same stories over and over again, and a little bit of MCU burnout, like after the fourth movie. And now there's like, what, 25 of them or more. And I haven't watched any of those, but lately I've been digging in and you know, just picking and choosing and watching some stuff that I find, you know, interesting. But yeah, I like a movie that, you know, makes me feel something, or makes me chuckle. But I have a weird sense of humor, so it's hard for me to find something that makes me chuckle. Yeah.
You like get him right in
See,
the feels,
that's sort
don't
of
you?
Yeah, right in the feels.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want.
Well, that was sort of the thesis behind this podcast, where somewhere around the year 2000, I fell out of love with movies too, after they were like huge in my life. And then, like, I don't know, I just wondered why that was. And, you know, I would try to watch movies and new shows and stuff and couldn't get into them. And this is a bit of an exploration of whether my theory is correct and there was some sort of drop off, or I just am not watching the right movies, or I'm just nostalgic about old movies. It's an exploration.
Yeah.
Good origin
no.
stories, though, fellas.
Yeah.
All right, well, what do we got here? In Theater 1, we have
Hackers.
Hackers.
Yes.
Oh my god, this is the only reason I came here.
Yeah.
1995, starring Johnny Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, Matthew Lillard, Lawrence Mason, and Fisher Stevens. Directed by Ian, perhaps? Softly.
I think it's Lane.
that font looks like Lane. No.
I think it's Lane.
Softly.
Let's say Lane.
But almost every other single person in there has a capital L in their name. You can't think that's wrong. So.
All right. Well, you want to launch the trailer there, Murphy?
Oh, we got a trailer.
We got a trailer
Feel free
for
to talk
Hackers?
over the. Yeah, feel free to talk over it.
That trailer's back now. Yeah, you also muted me during your little intro
Hidden
there. I was
beneath the
very
world
upset
we
about
know is the world they inhabit.
Dave,
Yeah, Mom?
what are you doing?
I'm taking over a TV network.
Well, finish up, honey, and get to sleep.
They're hackers.
Hackers penetrate and ravage private and publicly owned computer systems.
Hack the planet!
Hack the planet!
It's just something they do.
Sure this sweet machine's not going to waste.
Are you challenging me?
It's who they are.
I win, you wear a dress on our date.
And if I win, so do you.
They can crack any code. And get inside any system.
Hello? Mr. Gill, according to our records, you're dead.
No Pierce.
What?
But this time,
Come here, look at this.
It's some kind of virus.
Unless $5 million is transferred to the following account,
That's
I will
not the voice
capsize
in the
5
movie.
oil tankers.
they just hacked the wrong guy.
Game's over.
Best
Whoever
intro
wrote this
ever,
needs
by the
somebody
way.
to take the
Rolling
fall.
He's
skateboard
about to
with the
commit the
lights.
perfect computer crime.
You've created a virus that's going to cause a worldwide disaster.
And they're about to take the blame.
A hacker planted the virus.
But it's the perfect cover.
We're being framed.
Can we be allies?
I don't play well with others.
Oh, wow, we are fried.
Okay, let's nail it.
No.
You're not good enough to beat me.
Yeah, maybe I'm not, but we are.
They're the only ones who can prevent a catastrophe.
I know how to stop this guy. They'll trace you like that.
Are you nuts? Come at me!
Unlike any the world has ever seen.
Never send a boy to do a woman's job.
Hackers of the world unite.
Cops on the building.
I need more time.
This is the end, my friend.
United Artists welcomes you to the new world.
God, I feel like I'm in the 90s.
Well, this is 95, man.
Oh, this is 95.
This is
That's one thing we
95.
can all agree about this movie. Is
This movie
This
is
is like, was that like a 10-minute trailer?
that was a long.
And
trailer.
one thing we've noticed.
Does anyone actually have to watch the movie now? I think that was the entire
No.
movie.
That was a lot of the movie, except
You'll find that with the
vomit of
next
the
two
movie.
trailers too, probably, because trailers
Yeah.
always show the entire movie. We've been noticing that in this podcast. Even gone back, we
Especially
even
the
got like
old
trailers
ones.
back from movies in like the 50s and stuff, and they're still giving away the whole movie then too. So it's not even a
Like
news
our
movie.
favorite Christmas film of all time, it literally starts with the trailer starts with the final scene of the film. Shit you not, it's called The Room, and it's a fucking horrendous film with the worst.
You mean The
like-
Apartment?
Was it The Apartment? Yeah, that's it. The Apartment.
Yeah, it's The Apartment. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's
so
not
the-
talk about The Apartment because
Yeah,
we're talking
it's
about
not-
hackers.
That's not. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
we're
we're
here
talking
to talk about the internet and hackers. Yeah.
All right. So Hackers 1995, the movie, is set in Seattle. 1988 is where the movie starts. It's an American film directed by Ian Lyon Softly. The film's plot follows a group of high school hackers and their involvement in a corporate extortion conspiracy. The main character, Dade Zero Cool Murphy, played by Johnny Lee Miller, is arrested at the age
No
of
relation.
11. No relation. Thank fuck. Is arrested at the age of 11 for hacking into 1,507 systems in one day, causing a single day 7-point drop in the New York Stock Exchange. He's then prohibited from touching any device that could connect to the internet until his 18th birthday. So upon turning 18, he decides, well, I guess he doesn't quite decide. He's living with his mother, to say the least. His
That
mother,
was only
Lauren
getting
Murphy.
good then anyway. He didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah, he didn't miss
Like
much.
a couple web crawler searches and stuff. That's all he missed.
Yeah. So yeah, we get to hackers. He's his mother's Lauren Murphy, played by Alberta Watson. He calls a local television station and hacks into their computer network, changing the current TV program to an episode of The Outer Limits. While doing so, he's then attacked by a hacker called Acid Burn on the same network, during which he identifies himself by the new alias Crash Override. Mess with the best and die like the rest, as his monarchy says, but she connects, obviously terminates that connection. So Dade attends his new high school, quickly making new friends, including serial killer, played by Matthew Lillard, Freak, played by Ronaldo Santiago, Nikon, played by Lawrence Mason, and the feisty Kate Libby, played by Angelina Jolie.
All badass names, and she's just Kate Libby.
Well, I mean, she's Acid Burn, and also Freak
Yeah,
is the
true.
Phantom Freak too. Get his full moniker in there.
Yeah,
Well,
true. Phantom
Fun
Freak.
fact, which is one of my movie morsels, but yeah, Kate Libby, or Acid Burn, was actually meant to be a male character, which they ultimately changed when they saw the chemistry that Angelina Jolie and Johnny Lee Miller were having during their casting. So they're just like, all right, let's just make.
Is that
Acid
what we
Burn
witnessed
female.
here? Chemistry?
That's what we witnessed here.
They
Apparently these two
were
have-
They got
were
married.
They were
Chemistry.
married.
Yeah, they got married after this film.
They what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Our boy Johnny Lee Miller was married to Angelina Jolie.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Kate Libby
Well
is
then.
assigned to take him on tour of the school, and they quickly develop a feud with they quickly develop a feud when Dade is directed to the roof pool. That classic trick of getting locked in and rained upon.
Oh yeah, it's classic. Because
Yeah,
all
this eventually
schools
actually
have
leads
roof
to-
pools.
This leads to what I consider my favorite scene that holds up, which is I put somewhere. Where did I put it? There it is.
Joey.
One more dude at you and I'm gonna slap the shit out of you, okay? Now I try to save you from yourself, but you gotta stop letting your mama dress you, man. You hopeless.
Oh.
Check it.
I need a handle, man. I mean, I don't have an identity until I have a handle.
My mama still dresses me. There's nothing wrong with that.
Check it Friday.
The reason why I like this scene is because it emphasizes how
You're hopeless,
it emphasizes
man. Utterly hopeless.
Ultra laser. Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom's taken. You can't just be Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Can't just be an existing property.
I like that scene because it's ultimately.
I'm gonna be Spider-Man. Anyway,
it highlights the scene back in the '90s when the internet was running. It was like super critical to try and like come up with an online internet handle that didn't really involve numbers or anything or to that degree in your name.
Is that why you grabbed WorldMind back in like 1995?
To be fair, my first internet monarchy was Simon0666, but it was spelled PSYMON, which I had gotten from a game called SSX Tricky. There's a character in it called Simon, and he was wacky and crazy, and he did a bunch of fucking insane stunts. So I used that name for like 3 years, and then I found out about WorldMine through the Marvel Nova storyline, and I was like, oh, I like that name, and then I took that, and I hopped on that, and I made a career out of it.
And here we are today.
Here we are today. So yeah, that's why I love that scene. That was my favorite because it sort of emphasized that whole like that need.
That was not nearly. I mean, I usually just go by KH. It's not clever, or creative at all. Because it's just what everybody called me.
So dull.
So dull.
Works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know. So yeah, he gets introduced to the scene, which is one of these crazy wild club undergrounds that actually, where is it? Oh no, hang on. This is Davan's scene because it sort of leads into Davan's scene as well. So this is Davan's scene.
Because see, there's the difference. Yeah, see, there's the 90s, and there's how the 90s saw itself. And this is how the 90s saw itself, which was like you could roller skate indoors everywhere. Teenagers hung out where there was no like supervision. And it was just like you saw that all the time. Like they could be dealing drugs in there and shit. Nobody cares because it's like there's spray paint on the walls and the kids got roller skates on.
It's a club for teenagers.
and the other reason I picked that scene is because what he just did there with the tones while making a collect call, that was actually considered the first form of hacking in the real world where people would do that. You could just make a certain tone and you could get calls for free. That's the origin of hacking right there.
Enters one of these.
There was a funny nod in the movie.
Parties because, like, realistically, like I've never been to any sort of club or scene that has remotely like this. I think they used it.
Yeah, I was alive in the 90s. There was nothing like that.
No, so that's part of what makes this movie. Some aspects of this movie, like in a weird way, brilliant because it didn't necessarily age poorly because it's like it was. A large parts of it were just fantasy anyway, like the way they all dress and like some of the graphics and like the places they go. It's like that was just all like somebody's weird idea of what that was like. Like maybe there are pockets of the world where it was like that, but certainly, I mean, we grew up in rural areas, so maybe we just didn't have the opportunity to experience a cyberdelia equivalent.
Truth. I feel the clothing was pretty on point for this movie for back in the 90s. It was just like the graphics of hacking that was just way off the wall that got to me.
Yeah, they thought the internet was something it definitely wasn't and ever going to become. Like this movie, of all these internet movies, this one understands the internet the least. Jody Simpson makes a good point. Fun fact, they are playing Wipeout on PS1.
Wipeout PlayStation 1 game. Thank you, Jody. Which I was like, is this a fake game? But it actually is a real game. And I was like,
I remember playing this in a real arcade.
Yeah.
Standing in a thing with two remotes, two joysticks.
Yeah, like, did the thing move that you're standing in?
No. It didn't freaking move.
Did you have roller skates on?
Davan, before we go any further, we got to clarify the difference between roller skates and roller blades.
Oh, you're
Big
right.
difference.
This wouldn't be a '90s movie at all if they were wearing roller skates. That's my bad.
Roller skates would be back in the '70s.
Do you know that rollerblading was
50s
not
even.
actually originally part of this film? They just decided to add it because they noticed the cast was enjoying themselves rollerblading off scene. So they're like, let's add
That must
rollerblading
be
to the
what the
fucking movie.
kids do. They must
Awesome.
rollerblade in their arcades and stuff.
They all
So,
look
yeah,
uncomfortable doing it.
Dade ends up beating Kate's like double triple record and starts getting into hacking shenanigans. They talk about the big red book, which I thought was a funny scene as well. And Joey here, played by Jesse Bradford. Oh, Joey. All these actors are in their 20s. Joey, at the time, Jesse Bradford, was 16.
Hey, he was appropriately aged.
This character had a smoke in his hand. If not, I think it was even this.
Oh, yeah?
He has 2 smokes in his hand.
He does have
Oh, he
2 in his
does.
hands in this scene, yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
He has 1 in each hand, yeah.
So
If
he's
he was
Oh, the
constantly
thing.
smoking.
Now that's '90s.
That's super 90s, but also his poor health. I
Yeah,
hope they were herbal cigarettes. I'm sure they were,
The,
but like
the one
wow, what an
actual
image.
teenager is the one smoking in the movie, yeah.
He's probably like,
we also
"Don't worry,
see
I've been
his,
smoking for 3 years."
Yeah, we also see his bare ass in this movie, so I don't know how he got this rating.
Oh
Should be
yeah,
rated
yeah.
R.
I
It's true.
skipped past that,
That's
but yeah, there's
underage
a
nudity.
Whole, yeah, there's a whole
There
bunch
was.
of
There's a lot of weird
like,
shit in this movie.
Yeah, like let's
lot of
get the
weird shit in this
so
movie.
yeah, like that's weird.
Can we get his bare ass up on here, please?
Yeah, where's
No,
the
I don't
bear
have
ass?
it.
Can we just skip ahead to the bare ass?
We just skip ahead to when he
let's
gets
cut to
himself
the chase.
arrested.
There were
Yeah.
there were two ass shots in this movie, and neither of them are in your slideshow here.
No. So the group gets in trouble when Joey Padilla, the novice hacker of the group, successfully breaks into Ellingson's mineral company supercomputer and downloads part of a garbage file, tipping off which was a real surprise cameo for me, but tipping off server guard Hal, which is played by fucking none other than
Look at this. What does all this internet infrastructure here do? Like, what is this?
Yeah, no, this like this is all practical effects too, because they wanted to make it, I guess, more dynamic and interesting. But yeah, Penn Jillette, of all places, comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, really.
He's named Hal. He's a server guard, and he contacts our main antagonist, portrayed by none other than the one and only Fisher Stevens. Oh, I just skipped a bunch of shirts. There he is, Fisher Stevens. Yeah, so he plays the character of the Plague. After a bit of hacker mojo, Joey's ceremoniously caught by the feds, and that's when we get his bare ass, because they're taking away his computer. And that's when we're introduced to Agents Dick, Gill, and Agent Ray. But before we get to that, we are introduced to one of our host's favorite scene, which I believe is you, Andrew. You wanted the TV, or was it you?
Oh, this was me. I highlighted this scene.
No, wait, you wanted this one, or was
Oh,
it the
this
other
is
one?
my scene here.
This is yours. Sorry.
What's going on?
4,
There we go.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to our show.
Hack the planet.
Hack the planet.
And for those late.
The planet.
Joe Cola, the soft drink of the elite hacker.
Who are these guys? It's Razor and Blade.
Find a payphone in a remote
Razor and Blade.
That's
man.
right. This is a payphone. Don't ask.
Don't ask, indeed.
All right, so when you
How did they get that payphone?
Yeah, where did they get it from? When you talk about some things holding up, like I don't know if you can watch two. There are a lot of, there's lots of digital content creators in the world, but a lot of Twitch stuff you can't watch it without seeing some sort of gamer fuel being advertised. I just thought that was like ahead of its time in a way, where it's like, yeah, we have like this random niche
Monster
drink,
energy
but,
drink.
Well, but it's never Monster though. It's some other like weird off-brand. It's like it's usually G Fuel, or there's this one I see sometimes called like Mad Monk, but it's like MONQ, and they're all just like reskinned energy drinks. But
I think
it's,
G Fuel just came out with a version called like Titty Milk, which is like
Take my money.
It's just like white and creamy, and it's supposed to have the consistency of cum.
Hold on,
They
where's
wanted-
my
the guy,
money?
Hold
The
on.
guy that was like collaborating with G Fuel's like, can we call it like cum? Is it too much to call it cum? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, what about like titty milk? And they're like, we can get away with titty milk. So,
Amazing.
That's just the type of chaos.
Yeah, just that
wild branding.
That scene for like the introduction of Razor and Blade, getting some ethnic diversity in their cast, and potentially, even though it's never really
and Peter Kim.
Yeah, even though it's not really ever stated outright, but potentially some LGBTQ there. Representation as well. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but one of them's wearing like a scarf that's like rainbow colored, so there might be something there. Yeah, so again, just kind of having that tossed in, they get some bonus points there, where it's probably something that in a lot of other movies, I think you throw that in front of a test audience and like, get these people off the screen.
They also have the Kate Libby sexy dream of Dade wearing the prop motorcycle suit.
That's true.
That's true too. Yeah.
there's so many weird dream sequences, but during that like one scene after Dade gets he gets interrogated.
Made you hot too, right?
Then he gets arrested, or no, he gets interrogated, has the dream where she comes in and like she opens her jacket, flashes a quick boob, and then jumps on him, and then makes out with him, and then immediately gets pulled off him where he gets arrested, and then he wakes up from a dream, and it's such a confusing like set of events.
It's just all the shit that was on his mind at the time, man. That's just his mind was processing. He's like, I'm horny and I'm about to get arrested, and that's what he was thinking about.
It's also pretty gross. I don't know if you ever worn a leather jacket with no shirt, but you get pretty sweaty.
Sticky. So speaking of sticky, we're gonna go back to the agents. We got Dick
speaking
Gill
of sticky,
and
Mark
Ray.
Anthony.
Mark Anthony, of all people, Mark Anthony fucking shows up in this film. I'm like, what are you doing here? You act? Since when did you act?
Well, see, this was like apparently this was like a movie that we're gonna give people who want to act a chance to be in this movie. So that's why Mark Anthony and Penn Jillette appear in this movie.
I was appreciating when
Anthony was super zeitgeist in 1995.
I suppose so.
He was just everywhere.
They bring in Joey here, and that leaves the Plague explaining to Ellingson.
Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah, Lorraine Bracco of all people as well. Another connection from a previous
favorite of mine.
She's back on the show, friend of the show. We got Plague explaining how the Da Vinci virus is going to sink all the oil tankers and in the shipping containers, and this is his plan to basically blame our heroes, the curious hacking kids, on them. The virus is actually, of course, a ruse that Eli and Margot, Lorraine and Bracco, are using to steal millions from the company. Meanwhile, Dade and Kate decide to settle their disagreements with a hacking duel. And their friends act as judges, proceeding with a series of hacks on Agent Dick Gill. After bringing
he's never referenced in the movie as Dick Gill. You just put that in because he's always referenced as Richard. I think in the movie.
I think they label as
I think they might call him Dick, but he always shows up as Richard though.
The one thing I found funny in this scene when the Plague is actually interrogating Dade is when he takes this bat and then just goes ham on the Sony tape deck, not the 2-player Sony tape deck, man. What's wrong with you? And of course, yes, he has his dream, sexy dream where he then gets hauled away from the police. Joey is fucking saying he's not an addict at an addict place of all things.
While smoking,
look, I'm not an addict.
While smoking and drinking coffee.
Get more coffee. Let's get some more coffee.
Yeah. That was a pretty good scene, actually. this movie has its charms. It's awful, but it just like somehow it was still had me engaged. And it shouldn't, because it's just like a collection of trippy montages, like mixed with like somebody's face that's gone transparent and then things happen around their face.
It has an awesome soundtrack though.
It does have an awesome soundtrack. It's basically a music video.
It is.
In some ways, yeah.
It very much is. After being released from Pearl, Joey reveals the disc containing the files to their friend. Phantom Freak and Joey are eventually caught up in public while they're Sorry, I'm a little behind on my slides here. Yeah, so Joey and the Freak are caught themselves in public by
Phantom
Secret
Freak.
Service, and Freak gets arrested for his troubles.
Could we we were going to be talking about this more? Like, why is it
Yeah,
the Secret Service? Like, why is it not
Yeah,
just
no.
the FBI? Like, does not? I thought the Secret Service was strictly like,
Guarding
protecting
the
the
president?
president and like maybe
yeah.
other former presidents. Like, why is the Secret Service
That
coming
makes no
after
sense.
these people?
That's a great point.
Like,
I never thought about that.
like,
I was like, surely it's CIA or FBI, but when I was like doing my notes, they just kept saying Secret Service, and I'm like, all right, so I guess it's the Secret Service.
Yeah,
maybe the Secret Service hires protecting presidents and hackers. Those are their two jobs.
That dude was terrible at being secret. Huge camera on the shoulder.
Just throwing the camera on
Seriously.
your shoulder and like looking over your shoulder while taking the photo. Yeah,
like literally 12 feet away from the people you're observing.
Being serviceable.
Freak,
he's just giving
Freak
it
here
away.
gets arrested, and as soon as he contacts Kate, he informs her that he hid the disc in the boys' bathroom at the school, and we get
In the
this
place
like,
where he hid that thing that
super
time.
uncomfortable scene where she's in the bathroom and there's just like 5 guys giving her rape looks, just leering at her the whole time because she's in the bathroom, and it's like.
Well,
That dude
she's
was
at
t-shirt tucked in though.
So the disc was hidden behind a condom machine, right? So she's in there pretending to get a condom while getting the disc. So they're all like, "Oh yeah, she fucks."
She kind of gets it, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I got to get the condom," and then like walks back to it, and then like flaunts it on the way out, and it's like, So yeah, Kate and serial killer asked Dade for his help in copying the disc, and that's when they learn that the disc is designed to salami slice $25 million from Ellingson's transactions. They plan to hack the Gibson again with the help of Razor and Blade, Darren Lee and Peter Kim. And
Planet.
they evade hack
the
planet. No, that's Dade.
And this amazing scene. This is almost my scene I picked as my favorite scene.
Oh,
just
really?
Well, I mean, it's so like it feels like I said, Davan mentions there's parts of the movie where like it just feels like some fever dream music video thing. Like if someone was like, "Oh man, I really like noir movies. Let's put in this like noir like exchange of information." Like he rolls up on the holding on. I'm watching this and like he can't ride his skateboard through here, like remembering it. And it's like, oh no, he's holding on to the outside of the car on the sidewalk when he grabs the friggin' disc. Like it's the stupid, and like the music is different than the music anywhere else in the movie. Like it's just it's so out of place compared to the rest of the movie. It's
the lighting
hilarious.
in this film is the wildest lighting I've seen. Like bathrooms have spotlights on like certain characters while things are dark. Like hallways have like 7 different light sources, but none of them are uniform. They're all like generally spotlit areas, and it's so weird. It was the weirdest like uneven lighting I've seen in a film in a long time.
This is a funny scene, though. You're right. It's just like the director leaned over to like the assistant director, just like, "Hey, man, you know those like cool movies where like the detective walks in, like, and he's like monologuing and it's dark and shadowy."
They hand over the envelope with the the photos of the guy's wife with some
I think we need one of those.
We need one of those, but with his dick and the skateboard
and rollerblades. We need rollerblades.
We need more rollerblades.
So yeah, we get back to Razor
and Blades.
So they want to evade the Secret Service. They decide to converge on Central Station, where they're going to use payphones, the original VPNs, to begin their assault on the Gibson.
The original VPN.
And that's when Razor and Blade are like, let's send out a mass hashtag. We'll bring up a tweet, bring the world together, get a hashtag going, hack the planet, and we'll help distract everybody for you. So they contact hackers around the world, including places such as like Italy and Japan and Russia, while these guys are down at the Grand Central Station. Sorry, I'm losing my track here. Yeah. Who lend their support with virus extracting plague long enough for Dade to download the incriminating file to the floppy disk. Shortly after crashing the Gibson, Dade and his friends are arrested, but they manage to toss the disc in a trash can before they are taken away, which is retrieved by a serial killer. As they're being interrogated, can we wait? Sorry, I'm just gonna back. This scene with the fucking floating phone booths when they're all
yeah, where they're like they're
spinning.
rotating around while they're in the phone booths. Yeah.
It's so like, what the fuck is happening? What is this?
Because you needed to
That's
see.
what I mean about music video. Everything's done like you would in a music
you
video.
needed to see every angle of their face to understand how serious they were taking this hacking endeavor. Like you couldn't capture that from one angle. You had to see it from every angle.
One small detail though, if you notice, if you pay attention to the clocks to when they're hacking, sometimes they'll like cut back to a scene where you see the clock and like hours have passed. So at least they're like somewhat consistent in like the passage of time that it takes to fucking sit there and hack.
You know, I noticed it, yeah, in like I think it's the first scene when he's hacking into the TV, the time is moving like as if like seconds are going by. Yeah, it's like 3:40 something AM or whatever, but like it's changing every second. I did notice that.
Yeah, this movie was so speculative on what it thought the internet was going to be, and it was just like, I don't know, somebody was really, really into the internet.
Well, but like the thing, at least for hacking, the thing for hacking that they got the most right was in that opening scene when he just calls the guy and pretends to be like some guy in accounting and gets the information. Like most of hacking is just social engineering anyway. So when he does that, it's like, yeah, that's just basically like sending a fake email and someone clicking on a link. That's all that was.
It was accurate for all of 3 minutes, and then everything else became.
Yeah.
Let's
Matthew Lillard, I just found annoying in this movie.
What?
I know there was a time in the 90s when Matthew Lillard talking like this, man, was like considered like entertaining, but it doesn't work for me.
No, he has so many great quotes in this movie.
Yeah, he has
like
so many great quotes.
Watching this movie again, I hadn't watched it for a few years. There are so many things that it's like I say some of these lines in this movie. Like
what are some of your hackerisms?
Some of my hackerisms, like, whoa, this isn't woodshop. And even though saying like, are we fashionably late isn't necessarily like unique to this movie, but the way the Razor and Blade say it, I realize that I always say it like with that intonation, like when they call them when they're in the phone booth, it's like, are we fashionably late? Like that's how I always say that. It's the way that they say it. I'm like, ah, shit, this movie impacted me way too much.
Watching Matthew Lillard just made me want to watch SLC Punk.
It's a favorite scene.
SLC
I might
Punk.
Have gone past it real quick, but yeah, this is.
Yeah, I didn't watch Chelsea.
Is he playing an Oculus Rift or whatever they are?
Something like that.
What the hell are you doing?
He's got the sheriff badge on.
Play.
What does he do with the badge?
Gil, I think we got something. Hard copy.
I used to say that about you too. Yeah, hard copy.
I say that at work.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I
you were like, what are you talking about?
So yeah, serial killer retrieves the hard drive, and as he's being interrogated, revealing the plot from right. So Eli and Margot celebrate by basically doing the nookie. And while these two are being interrogated, actually the whole crew is being interrogated at this point, serial killer, with the help of Razor and Blade, hacks the world and gets a TV every single
Planet.
which is hacking the planet, where he gets to basically reveal the plot of the movie and Margot's complicity in the big money scheme, which Lorraine Bracco loses her shit once she hears her name. The plague is arrested.
Scene, I was just thinking, man, I wish they picked any character but Matthew Lillard to be the guy up on that screen.
So Lorraine Bracco's trying to let him know that Eli isn't, and this scene confuses me. So the plague is ultimately arrested when he's trying to flee to Japan under the alias of Mr. Babbage while on a plane. Why he wasn't arrested at the gates, we'll never know why.
Yeah, they wait until he's like, how long are they on this flight before they're like, we're gonna arrest this dude?
Flight to Japan, let's take the red eye.
You're trying to wear a disguise
midway through.
Yeah, and so they're and they're in New York. So where is he connecting through? Like they're showing the plane. Is the plane over the ocean? Like is it going from New York to the West Coast? Is it flying over Europe? Like at what point are they arresting him? So
I don't think Mad Scientist is the best costume.
Yeah, so here's a little thing too I had in my notes I'll throw in there really quick because he has some name with the last name Babbage on the fake profile that he creates like for Dade's mom. Her last name is also Babbage, but it's something hyphenated Babbage. So I'm like, what's this guy's obsession with the name Babbage?
I think Babbage was like a real life hacker back in the day. In my notes, so I think it's a callback to that.
Or some sort of father of computer science.
Yeah. So was the Gibson, right? There was some guy with the name Gibson, and that's why I think that's where the computer being called the Gibson. That was a nod to some pioneer of programming, whose name
Gibson.
His name I can't remember. His name was Gibson.
There's Gibson. They talk about Gibson in the net too because they're drinking Gibsons.
Yes.
Wrap this up.
Right.
The movie ends with Dade and Kate having their rooftop pool swim, and as they make out in front of a city skyline with the windows lit to say "crash and burn," and that's basically.
Okay, was this whole movie just to get to that scene right there where it says "crash and burn" on
the
building?
So, yes.
It's maybe.
She even says it's like if you weren't such a doofus and just admitted the fact that I'm a pretty good hacker, you could have saved yourself a bunch of trouble and basically could have saved yourself the entire movie. But
she
they
is a
stopped the
doofus,
global plot and saved millions for an oil tanking company. So, thumbs up, hey! Like hackers, they saved an oil company millions of dollars.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm so mixed. I have such mixed feelings about this movie. We'll talk about that here now. But first, which performance would you hold up? Guess first. What about you, Chow? Who's your favorite performance in this movie?
Matthew Lillard.
Oh no! Okay,
Suck it,
that's
Davan.
fine. Well, fine. Maybe it was great. It's just not my cup of Lillard.
Not your cup of Lillard.
Actually, you know what? I really liked Phantom Freak too. I really liked his character. I liked his energy, and I think that kind of energy could hold up in today's movies for sure.
Yeah.
Santiago, what was his name again? It was Renoli
Ronaldo.
Santiago.
Oh.
Renole. That could be wrong. Anyway, for me, I would say my hold up is easily the plague in Fisher Stevens. Fisher Stevens, if not for him, I don't know how far this movie would have gotten. I did love Matthew Lillard. He was the comedic joy and nostalgia I needed to keep me going through this film. But Fisher Stevens broke his back to make this film entertaining.
There's something to be said about when a movie appears to not be great, but the person playing the villain goes all in on being the villain, and you're like, this is like if he gets someone pitches him this movie, it's like, listen, you work for a big corporation, but you're an anti-hacker, and you wear a trench coat and ride a skateboard through the fucking office. He's like, I'm in. I want this role.
Did you pick a performance there, KH?
Yeah, I don't know. If I had to pick an individual performance from it, I'd be with Matthew Lillard or Renoli, just because they were just fun characters that you can take their sort of archetype and apply it to anything now, and it would still be entertaining. The things that made those characters, their energy, that would still apply now. I felt like Johnny Lee Miller was really stiff. It's one of these things where as a kid you're younger, you watch that, and then later on you realize oh, he's actually British, and he's doing an accent here, and that probably explains some of the stiffness in his performance at times because he's trying to.
I just assumed he was on the spectrum.
Well, see, you know what's funny is I was watching it. I'm like, wait, is that what he's going for? Like, is
I
that
think it is.
is that insensitive to think that? Like, there's
I don't
the
care.
one
On
scene
to
like
something.
when he's talking to the plague and he's like, I don't play well with others, and he's like, and then he does the thing where he goes, nah. It's like that scene was like bad, but then also it's like, shit, is he just playing that like next level good? And I don't know.
I think so because there's like some tick boxes that are checked. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he's a genius at 11 years old, right?
He's a
So
savant.
yeah, and then he can't touch a computer for 7 years, and we all know how fast like technology advances. So all of a sudden, he's that good for not having to touch a computer for 7 years.
I don't know, maybe. Or his
You
parents.
think he
his mom-
didn't touch a computer for that
his-
7 years?
Okay,
Like, I don't
here's
know
the
about
big
that.
here's the big thing. Okay, when they bust him, they say he's violating his probation, which is bullshit because he was 18 and his probation was up when he turned 18. So they're like, what probation? He was not violating any probation.
I mean, it's the Secret
Scare
Service; they
tactic.
can do what they want, right? Yeah, or a scare tactic. Yeah.
Retroactive probation.
Yeah. So yeah, no, Matthew Lillard and Renoli, I think like you could plug those characters into a movie today and they would still work, I think.
All right, I'm gonna pick Lord Nikon, played by Lawrence Mason, just because he has my favorite line. He's just like, "You're Zero Cool? Thought you were black, man."
So all right, no, but here's the problem with that. He says he has a photographic memory, right? In that opening scene, so an 11-year-old is being taken out of the courthouse, and there's like a million cameras, and Lord Nikon, the guy with photographic memory, remembers the issue of the newspaper, but there isn't a photo of the kid in this news article. They took
probably. I mean,
they took so many pictures of him.
I think there's probably like
You're the real Lord Nikon,
can't
KH.
post photos of underage criminals, basically.
Sure, but you'd think like,
oh yeah, maybe
probably, but you'd think they probably just wouldn't have had like all the people there to begin with because it was a child. Like they would keep it under wraps. But
I mean, it was big story, I guess.
And
but,
how old? Here's a question for you, Davan. How old do you think Lord Nikon's character is in this movie?
Lord Nikon, I would say probably like 18.
So how old do you think Lawrence Mason was at the time of this movie?
Probably like 30.
Yeah, he was 29, I think. But like, it's never at any point said like, is he in school or recent graduate? Like, is this guy like 26 and they're just going over to his house to hang out and watch hacker?
I would say he's older because he has his
young
own
and
place.
Didn't have the older
I guess he
30-year-old
does have his
guy
own
that would
place.
smoke pot and drink beer with you.
I believe he's like
Is that
26
just
in
totally
that.
my life?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have the 30-year-old man who invited me and my teenage friends to hang out with him. No, I didn't know that guy growing up.
Damn.
You can be that guy now.
I can't be that guy now. I'm too old to be that
Generations into alcoholism.
All right, the setting aesthetic. This movie looked crazy. It doesn't look like 1995. It doesn't look like any particular time at all.
No.
It's like Blade Runner. Like
bad acid trip of 1995 is what it is.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So I think that's something that in a way it almost helps it hold up in a way because it's not like so obviously 90s that when you watch it now you're like, oh my god, we were so dumb back then. It's like this is like extreme counter subculture stuff that very few people would have experienced anyway. So it's still like a bit of a novelty to see it and a bit of a treat that way where it's like, yeah, it's not like cringe to be like, oh my god, this was like watching a music video from 1995 for like a top 40 rock pop band. You're like, this is bad. But this movie, oh man, I think the setting and the aesthetic it carries on because it was like it wasn't real at the time, so it's still like it's half science fiction practically.
This is basically science fiction. Like this is, you think this classifies as science fiction? At least now, like when you look back on
it. At a certain point, they go back and reclassify it as science fiction.
At least that one episode of Futurama where they go to the internet makes a lot more sense now.
Now it's time for
So, movie morsels for Hackers of 1995. I spoke about Angelina Jolie being introduced in the film. Gender, character switch, all that stuff. The password God used in the film is actually one of the most commonly used passwords in real life. The film's
terribly short
computer-generated.
password.
I know.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to use it now in most cases.
No, nowadays not so much.
Though.
But yeah, for a long time apparently it was all
in 1995. That was everyone's password.
The film's computer-generated graphics were cutting edge for their time, and many of the visual effects were created using Silicon graphics workstations, which were commonly used in Hollywood at the time. The film's hacking sequences mostly used motion-controlled models instead of computer graphics to avoid looking too artificial. The filmmakers had difficulty securing funding for the film, so this film was almost not made until Matthew Lillard himself convinced his friend and director Francis Ford Coppola to invest in the project.
Wow.
That guy's
this is a Francis Ford Coppola production.
Yes, it is.
I mean, there was some pretty obvious product placement in a couple spots too. So they got a little bit of money from that. There were some beverages that were clearly displayed.
Some McDonald's, that was talked about. So yeah, the film's climactic hacking battle scene was shot in just 2 days using a combination of practical and computer-generated effects. The filmmakers used a real-life garbage dump as the location for the scene. The filmmakers also originally wanted to include a scene where the hackers break into the White House computer system, but the Secret Service denied the request to film on location, and the scene was.
I just put the Secret Service in the movie.
They're like, but we're putting you in the movie. Let us come into the White House.
That's the answer. No, that's the answer. We're like, why did they make it the Secret Service? It makes no sense. They just did it to stick it to them. It's the only thing that makes sense.
I have to Google what does the Secret Service do?
The first thing that comes up is gonna be stop hackers, and we're all gonna shit our pants.
So this one's interesting. The Robert Morris worm, also known as the Great Worm, was a computer worm that infected approximately 6,000 Unix machines in November of 1988, causing widespread disruption and damage. The worm was created by Cornell University graduate student Robert Tapin Morris, who released it onto the internet to gauge its potential
Wait, is his last name Tapeworm? Is that what you said?
His middle name's Tapin. Tappan Morris. He's released a Tapin worm onto the internet to gauge.
Great worm. That's what I call my baseball bat.
Okay. However, due to a programming error, the worm replicated too quickly and ended up causing a denial of service, a DOS attack, on the machines it infected, causing them to crash or become unresponsive. The incident became one of the first high-profile cyber attacks and led to Morris being the first person to be convicted under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which inspired the film's opening scene. And the final morsel here, the filmmakers hired a group of actual hackers as consultants to make the film's hacking scenes more realistic.
I had that in my notes. I said there are hacker consultants in the credits.
The film's writer-director...
Surprise, motherfucker!
That was for you, Irving.
Thank you. The film's writer, director, and some cast members attended the New York City 2600 meeting to observe and talk with real-life hackers. So yes, apparently real-life hackers were used in the making of this movie to consult.
See, Davan, it is real.
The whole thing was real. This is not science fiction.
This movie was released on September 15th, 1995. It has a runtime of 107 minutes. It had a budget of $20 million, which is basically the amount of money that was to be stolen in the grifting scheme from the plague. And the box office made a total of $7.5 million.
Yeah,
this was a bomb.
It's not
did not do well.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
I feel like it's maybe...
landing.
It's maybe garnered a bit of a cult following, but
how did they get $20 million to make this movie?
Yeah, like I feel like there are people who say hack the planet and don't know that this is like the origin of like where that came from. It has a bit of a cult status in a way.
20 million down the train.
And this movie started Matthew Lillard's reputation as a moneymaker, one you can take to the bank.
Thanks, Johnny Lee Miller, for wasting $20 million.
All right, rewatchability. What about it? Would you rewatch this movie?
God, no.
Yes.
I got out my DVD copy to watch it, so that tells you. I think that tells you what you need to know.
If I was drinking at a cyber bar and maybe was in the background and I didn't really have to pay attention to it, possibly. Otherwise, I don't think I would sit down and rewatch this.
I think for what it has for problems, the pacing is like pretty good. Like the movie skips along pretty quickly. Like it. I'll definitely probably watch it again at some point.
I have the DVD. I just don't have a DVD player.
I just don't have a DVD player, so I had to put it in the Xbox. Yeah, because I don't have a DVD player.
I had to sail the high seas, RMAT.
Yeah.
Davin, did you say it holds up again?
Yeah, I would just like to go back and see its absurdist take on 1995.
There you go.
Like, it's
it
just
would be
so
interesting to
absurd.
reflect on in like 20 years, maybe.
Like I said, I don't know why I was enjoying myself. I was sitting there and I'm just like, God, I did not expect it to hold up at all. But let's ask ourselves that right now. Does it hold up? The big question.
No. But I still love it.
It's like
yeah,
I can answer this question in a few years when I let my son watch it, and we'll see what he thinks.
No, I think like to ask that question, does it hold up? Like, can someone who was born after 1995 and actually like it grew up like with internet, like we were all born, we grew up without the internet. So if someone, much younger than us could watch this movie and enjoy it, then yeah, it holds up. And I can't see that actually happening.
No, they would be so confused by things like the payphone and like just like PlayStation 1 games and like tape decks and like
rollerblades. What?
I know, it's like a music video, and they just be like, "Why would you make a music video like this?" But yeah, no, I don't think it holds up. It's weird. I see why it has a cult following, and that's why I think it has rewatchability, because it's just so weird. You just want to put it in and just take it in for a minute.
Yeah, it's definitely it's difficult. Yeah, I agree with the notes. It's like difficult to introduce to like a new audience, but I think there are people who just like if somebody were to put on like a hackers themed event and like come as your favorite character, like I think that would be a thing people would get into. Like it's just, I don't know, it has a lot of character to it, but yeah, certain aspects of it wouldn't pass the test of modern movie watchers, I think. Yeah,
I just don't understand.
I don't think the story holds up.
Just don't understand that. He said it was because
the only part I get.
They just liked rollerblading, and so they put it in the movie. That's it.
Yeah,
that's true.
They're all so bad at rollerblading.
Well,
none of
just
them
because
look.
They were having a good
rollerblading.
time. That was a movie. They were having a good time.
Yeah.
Just having a good time in the 90s, rollerblading when it was popular.
Like I don't know, like if we're talking about hackers for very much longer. Can I tell you my weirdest thing I observed when rewatching this movie?
All right,
yeah, do it.
When Dade and Kate, Crash and Acid agree to their hack battle and they shake on it, they use their left hands.
What? Totally unlucky and disrespectful.
She holds out her left hand and then the left hand shakes, and it's the
nothing about this movie reflects the real world. It's all just a bizarro universe.
I took notes, man. I came prepared. I can throw them out while Murphy goes and
did you also know the
part
where the plague rolls in?
With movie morsels with KH here.
Why does a waiter carry scissors? Do you think waiters normally carry scissors? Because he swipes the guy's.
Did he have it in his apron, or did he get it from the counter?
I know he had it like. Because he walked over to the guy and then he pulled it out of his little apron and then cut his cards. Like, he just carries scissors with him all the time. Is that a thing in fancy restaurants I don't know about when they have to cut people's cards up?
Yeah, maybe you have to cut receipts back then. Who knows?
Yeah, it was like a common trope back
Yeah,
in,
Yeah, it was just, yeah, no, it was like, yeah, it was a common, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
common trope.
Yeah.
The other trope that I had made a note of was the getting a trace, convenient plot device. Like, let's get a trace on his phone. It's like just some random oil company, like.
I think it happens in the next movie too. They're just like tracing.
Well, like,
Oh,
look
yeah,
at their
all the
server
time.
room, for fuck's sakes. It was just like glass towers and like up lighting and just like made no sense. It's like,
Yeah,
where's the
yeah.
cooling? How does your shit work? Are you in the fucking the Fortress of Solitude? Is Superman gonna come in and open the door for you guys? Like,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Give us more,
let's
Kyle.
move on.
Oh man, you want some more? Let's see what I
I'd
Oh,
like
you got
a few
more?
have. I mean, so I mean, we can talk about how Wendell Pierce doesn't age because this movie was
True, he
you
doesn't.
know, almost 30
looks
years ago.
immaculate.
Dude basically looks the same.
Good point.
Yeah, I mentioned there are two Diet Cokes that appeared in the movie. There's one scene with the Plague and Lorraine Bracco's character when they're like going up and down the escalators where it feels like they did like the audio like post, like it just feels really off.
Didn't notice. This whole movie felt sort of off.
Well, yeah. Well, the sound was off in a few places, like when Angelina Jolie says, "I hope you don't fuck like you type." That was completely unsynced.
That was a thing too. Yeah, it's like they changed it later. And like my other big question too is like, what do you think the timeline is for this whole movie, from like start to finish? How much time do you think passes? Like, because it seems like a lot happens with people getting
I would say
arrested.
it's probably a month because there seems like, they keep the Joey kid detained and he's grounded.
Well, yeah, and like how long from like when Freak is arrested to him being like in the jail payphone or like the jail like making the collect call? Like how long does that take to happen? Because it feels
you
like
get your call immediately.
but it feels like he gets arrested in the morning and like literally that night he's like in some prison where dudes are like making gross comments at him. It's like that doesn't happen that quickly. Like you don't get processed and put in prison that fast. Like
The Secret Service fast tracks these hacks.
right. Everything could just be creative license, right? Secret Service just does whatever they want, right? That's the
So you looked it up. What does the Secret Service do, KH?
They capture cyber criminals.
We ensure the safety of the president, their families, the vice presidents, foreign heads of state, former United States presidents and their spouses, and events of national significance. So I guess if this was considered an event of national significance, they would get involved.
Cyber hackers, hacking potential oil tankers around the world would be of significance.
Yes, when the IT guy who calls himself the Plague says, "Hey, Secret Service, someone downloaded my garbage file," they're like, "We're in."
We're all in. We're gonna catch these hackers with a big old net.
Speaking of the net,
what a segue! What a segue!
Let's move over to Theater 2.
He's our professional.
Yeah, right. So Theater 2, we have The Net, starring from 1995 as well, when the internet became a big thing. Apparently, it's like we just have to make movies about the internet. It's hot stuff right now.
It's the latest
it probably
horror.
won't last.
It's the latest area in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Starring Sandra Bullock, Jeremy Northam, and Dennis Miller. Directed by Irwin Winkler.
I think that's Lurwin.
It's Lurwin.
I think it's Lorin.
Lurwin Winkier.
Yeah.
Winkler. All right, hit us with a trailer, Murphy.
All right.
Oops. I'll get rid of that. There you go.
We all live in the age of information.
We're sitting on the most perfect beach in the world, and all we can think about is where...
Where can I hook up my modem?
Every trace of our existence is computerized.
They need a payphone.
Funniest thing about this is it came out the same year as Hackers. These two people saw the internet in 2 ways differently.
But this movie also features prominent use of cell phones, which even movies now struggle with.
Journalist Angela Bennett was just
I don't know if they'll show it in the trailer.
They're going to show the whole movie in this trailer.
Oh yeah, the whole movie. It's right here.
What is this?
She never should have seen.
I plugged it in and I'm staring at the personal medical files of the Undersecretary of Defense, Michael Bergstrom.
Someone's tapped into the system. How long will it take to track
Mr. Bergstrom.
Depends on how long
Yeah,
it stays online.
killed himself because he thought people would think he was gay.
Do anything.
Great story there.
Than she could ever imagine.
They hacked into computers and they caused this chaos. Wall Street,
The market panicked as
1995.
the Department of Water and Power in Atlanta, LAX.
We've lost radar contact. Now it's time to go.
Like, oh yeah, like the trailer should have been over. Why is it still going?
We can make it reality.
They got to wrap up the plot.
According to the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're birthmarks. They disputed my information and my fingerprints. I don't understand. Why me?
Trading her life.
In it, there's identity theft. Let's go 2 more
Yeah,
minutes.
the internet is all about identity theft. Yeah, Dennis Miller's character dies. Let's show that in the trailer.
Federal charges.
I am Angela Bennett. Just give us the disc and we'll give you your life back.
She has the evidence.
She's copied the disc.
Clever girl.
Shit had me on the edge of my seat.
The disc. Is this actually a disc-themed episode of your podcast?
Yeah, it was the 90s when the world was either saved or destroyed by a floppy disk.
By a floppy disk.
Is caught.
A 2 megabyte text file will destroy the world.
A film by Irwin Winkler.
Loren Winkler, I believe.
I was wrong.
Oh,
admit when I'm wrong.
good effort. Good effort.
Wow. Wow.
So,
man.
so coming into this, I thought this one was gonna be my favorite movie, and
I don't
I
know
gotta
how
say it was my
wasn't your
least favorite.
movie.
It was my
How-
least
So-
favorite of all of them.
What?
I will
tried
say
to watch it twice. It was boring me to tears.
I had
It
a
was
hard time
boring.
watching this, but I'll tell you why. You know how like sometimes when you're growing up and you own like 6 movies and it's just kind of 6 random movies, and so you watch one of
You
those
had the
movies.
net?
My wife owned the net, and I was watching it, and she was saying every line of dialogue
Nice.
Oh my
while I
God.
was watching it because she's like, "Kyle, I've watched this movie 200 times."
Oh my god!
And I'm like writing notes. She's like, "Are you writing this down? Are you writing that down?" I'm like, "Stop it!"
Oh my
I'd be
god!
like half an hour in, I didn't make her be quiet because she wouldn't
Just
stop
invite her
quoting
onto
it
the
and
episode
just
and
saying
talk
every
about
single
it.
thing that was happening.
Does she
Yes.
actually like it, or just like it was because it was one of 6?
No, I
movies
think
she
it was
had
just one of
growing
those things where it's like, yeah, it's like you own 6 movies on VHS, and when you're bored and you don't have cable TV, you're like, well, I'll watch the net again, I guess.
Watch Curly Suit with Jim Belushi.
Yeah, well, it's like The Ghost in the Darkness. Like I watched that movie so many times, like just because.
Oh, I love The Ghost in the Darkness. I'm probably
like-
going to feature it on this podcast. At some
Oh, there you go.
point.
Right, the net.
Yeah. So pipe up
I
with any
guess-
of your written down morsels
Oh,
too,
dude,
Cage.
dude, I got 4 pages of notes on the net. We can.
Oh my god! Well,
Should I just interject as they come up?
yeah, exactly.
Alright.
That's the
Crisps
best
with
way.
Kyle.
Yeah, crispy crumblies with Kyle.
Crumblies with
Yeah,
Kyle.
okay, just my general thoughts on this film. I was gonna go. I was like, this is gonna be boring. And after watching Hackers, I was like, oh, this is refreshing. It's actually like legitimate, like what hacking is. And I found it interesting how she was like doing like the home delivery with FedEx, booking her flight, basically all the things that we pretty much take for granted nowadays.
Yeah.
She was like cutting edge and doing it with her and Cyber Bob and them on her like home computer. And I quickly like fell into like, oh, this is actually a really entertaining thriller of a movie, and I was fucking on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So yeah.
That's what continues on this podcast. Every movie hits me and Murphy completely different.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised you didn't like this movie. The Net.
No, man, I
Yeah.
found it boring.
It's it was very like.
Kind of formulaic.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say if you take out the internet and replace it with literally anything else, it's like
Anything.
It's just it's like it's not.
Just feels like one of those novels you'd get
But
to like
it's
get through a
done
plane ride or
well.
something.
It's done well, man.
It's
Just like
it's
the
a plain
shock
movie.
of her like having to like discover her home was gone and shit. Like she plays it well. It's not. She doesn't play.
I love
corny
Sandra
in any
Bullock
point.
too. And this movie just did not do it for me, gotta say.
All right, so The Net is a
Let's get into it.
1995 cyber.
Oh, hold on, one
thriller
thing I
with-
want
Yeah,
to
he's
say.
got a cell phone. He's got a cell phone.
One thing I found interesting between this and Hackers, how they came out the same year, because Hackers is a movie about individuals taking down larger entities, governments, corporations, using hacking, whereas this movie is the opposite. It's about governments and organizations taking down individuals. So I find it fascinating they came out the same year,
But
and these people were.
Why was this
Yeah.
movie? That's what I can't remember.
Why?
Well, what is this?
Well, I did
Let's
never
get
figure
into
that
that. So The Net is a 1995 cyber thriller film directed by Irwin Winkler in Washington, D.C. It is the location. It starts with U.S. Washington. Sorry, fuck. All right. We're in Washington, D.C., the United States of America, under Secretary of Defense Michael Bergstrom, as who we're introduced to, played by Ken Howard. This scene is the cold open of the film, and quickly, well, I guess we're just gonna get into it because apparently this is Andrew and Kyle's scene that holds up the most.
Fine. First scene, and then it just gets boring, and they fall asleep.
Bit of a nightmare day.
Oh, you know what? I might have said opening scene, but I didn't mean this scene.
You bet.
Oh. Did you mean this scene, Chow?
Yeah, I meant this scene because it sets the tone for the whole movie.
It does. Imagine your last meal being a pear.
Yeah, no, it's like he eats a pear.
I love pears.
Of a snub-nosed.
That's probably why he killed himself. This pears is terrible.
Like, you know what?
Nothing.
I'm gonna
This is mealy pear.
I'm gonna decide the rest of my life based on this one pear.
Buying pears at
You know what?
grocery
I've had
stores.
some bad pears that have made me want to end myself.
Do you like? Or do you guys like a soft pear, or do you like a firm pear?
I prefer
Soft.
sort of in between.
Soft, of course.
Just almost
Firm pear doesn't even
appley.
taste like anything.
Yeah.
Hard pear make your gums bleed.
I like a medium. I like a
Especially
medium
once
pear.
you insert the razor blades.
I like a medium pear that doesn't. I don't want my hands to get wet when I'm eating my pear. You know what I mean? If it's too soft, wet hands, no good.
What? You just gotta make that slurpy noise. I know you
No,
like making
can't
that
do it.
slurpy
Can't do
noise.
it. Can't eat it. Can't eat a slurpy pear. Can't do it.
So yeah, Michael Bergstrom commits suicide after being informed that he has tested positive for the old HIV. This film stars Sandra Bullock as Angela Bennett, a computer systems analyst who lives a solitary life in Venice, Los Angeles. Angela works for Cathedral Software, a company based in San Francisco, and telecommunicates to work.
So can I? This is actually my favorite scene, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I think the guy on the phone says her name about 7 times, and then every sentence he's like, "That's not how it works, Angela." He's like, "Let me tell you something, Angela." And then she orders the pizza, and it's like Angela Bennett, and she's booking her flights, Angela Bennett, and on her fridge with little magnets, she has spelled out Angela. It literally takes like the width of the fridge is ANG, and then the next line is ELA on her fridge with magnets, because the movie wants you to know her name is Angela.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important. Like they had to add all that. They had to add all that in because people watched this movie and thought her name was Ruth. They're like, no, we want to make sure you know her name is Angela. And I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever, because I'm like, how many times do they have to say her name in this opening scene?
For every time they say Angela Bennett in the opening scene,
yeah, just get hammered in the first 6 minutes of this movie.
So Angela, she's her only real life interactions.
Wait, what was her name again?
Angela Bennett. Her only real life interactions are with the FedEx delivery driver and her mother, who is not Angela Bennett, but her mother, Aunt Bennett. I don't think they actually said her name. Her mother's institutionalized due to her Alzheimer's disease, which plays into a later scene that I thought stood out. And Angela's life ultimately changes dramatically when she receives a floppy disk from her coworker Dale, played by the legendary Ray McKinnon. He, sends over this Mozart's ghost disc, and it contains
it's a killer riff.
Backdoor named Pi that allows access to a popular computer security system called Gatekeeper, sold by Greg Microsystems, which is nothing to do with Microsoft. A software company led by CEO Jeff Gregg, played by Gerald Burns, who is at any point in this film is only ever on TV. He's never actually on screen.
Well, they filmed all his scenes in the one spot outside their building in like 4 hours, and because anytime he's being interviewed, it's in the exact same spot too, even though there are different times.
Oh, glossy looks. So yeah, Dale and Angela agree to meet, but Dale's private aircraft decides to crash into a tower, and he dies. He doesn't really decide to crash into a tower. He's just like directed.
Why you don't let your planes make your decisions for you?
Well, I don't know how this guy wasn't paying attention to like what's in front of him, and why he's apparently flying entirely by his own, devices. But the one thing I did notice is
he was horny for Angela Bennett.
There's a fireball. They cut
Yeah,
back
you know what he
into
was
the
doing.
cockpit where there's no fire, and then they cut
You don't
back
call
to
it
a
cockpit for
giant
nothing, eh?
fireball.
Because that's just an editing error.
No, it's good.
Which there are some others in this movie too.
There's a few of those. So yeah, Dale's private aircraft crashes in the tower and he dies. Angela then, because she had a vacation all set up, she gets the news that Dale's dead from her coworker, and she's not devastated by this at all.
No, she's not upset at all. She literally couldn't be bothered.
I gotta catch a flight. Have you been to fucking LAX, man? That shit is a pain in the ass. She gets there and all of her flights are delayed or canceled or fucking hijacked.
I saw that too. There's two of them that are
hijacked.
There's two that are hijacked. Yeah.
That's
I like
crazy.
how one and two of them say missing.
Yeah, I can't believe that's a real label. Hijack.
I feel like that's like a little thing. Hey,
Does what
Coca-Cola.
any person who's getting a flight that knows their flights are hijacked or canceled or whatever, just hang out in the food
More than
court and
50% of the planes on the board are missing or hijacked.
Well,
Think
just
about
that-
leaving that airport.
Just that one little they highlighted there.
I'm sure the rest of them are fine.
Yeah, the rest are fine. So we get a little foreshadowing of our main villain, Jack Devlin.
That is quite the
neck. So Angela heads on to her vacation to Cozumel, Mexico. She's reading a book here, Love in the Time of Cholera.
I had a super crush on Sandra Bullock for like my entire life, and I still didn't like this movie.
Wow, I don't get it. This is such a good movie. So yeah, she's looking fine as all hell on this beach scene. I'm just gonna let this thumbnail refresh, so if anybody catches the live stream, they might have a reason to clickbait. Okay, we're good. So yeah, where she meets a charming Englishman named Jack Devlin, played by Jeremy Northam. This is his American debut for films. He decides, let me seduce you by taking you on my company boat, which is like half a yacht, practically.
Yeah, so I mean, he orders the Gibson too. So there's the Gibson connection between the net and hackers. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I almost forgot he did order the Gibson. But yeah, they're having a nice, lovely dinner and stuff. And while they're walking the beach, Angela is mugged, which Devlin chases after because he paid that local mugger to get the magical green floppy disk that could end the world or save the world. He then, once he gets the floppy disk, the mugger's like,
I like the internet.
I get the mucho dinero now, and he gets mucho boleto to the chest.
He didn't deserve that.
He didn't deserve that. No, he was just a simple guy trying to do a job, probably feed his family, and now he's eating sand. Devlin cuts his hand, make it look like he got mugged. Takes her back to the boat, and is this? No, you changed your scene, Davan. You were gonna pick this.
Yeah,
scene.
I changed my scene. Now keep going.
Yeah, where basically she finds the gun. This was the one he chose.
Well, I was just gonna highlight the scene because that's when the movie like starts basically, and I was already bored with this movie, and like now it starts, and like, but I do find like those scenes are kind of sort of engaging in a movie, like that scene where like some two characters who've been spending time together, one realizes the betrayal of the other before that character makes their betrayal noticed. So
well, Devlin's loading up the silence pistol. He's ready to put one into Angela, and she's ready to get one put in her. So she kisses Devlin, and he puts one in her.
There's a part a little bit before that where she says to him, "Nice hardware," and I wrote that down. I put hardware in quotes. I'm like, was that intentional? Because
he was like nice software.
Yeah. She says nice.
So yeah,
nice.
He still goes to follow through on killing her, but she decides to put on his coat where she finds the pistol that she just lets him grab.
Well, it's because she already took she previously alluded to her Colorado upbringing and being around guns, right? She's like she's like Lauren Boebert from 1995.
Maybe Lauren Bennett. Maybe family lineage. But yeah, no, he takes the gun and immediately points it at her, pulls the trigger, and there's nothing. She's like, "Oh, are you looking for this clip?" Which is a mag, lady. That is a mag, not a clip. I'll have you know. She tosses that in the ocean, and proceeds to burn him with a cigarette and whack him with a fucking champagne bottle, knocked out and escape on the boat. As she's trying to escape on the dinghy boat, she basically crashes into some rocks and passes
like 30 feet away from the boat. Let's
just like sees the rocks, is like, you know what? I should turn. No, I'm just gonna gun it.
No.
This is gonna be good time. Wham!
Just straight into the rocks.
Collides with those rocks, goes flying, as you can see her in the center screen here.
I never understand how people like survive that kind of thing. Like if you get knocked out in the water, you're basically drowning.
Oh, it's bullshit. She like, and who finds her? Like who finds her, and how long until she's found? Like, oh, a fisherman found her.
It's like the Majestic, which we also featured on this podcast. This is when you get knocked out in water, somebody finds you on a beach later. That's a guarantee.
Yep.
Somebody will find you on a beach.
Like when you're knocked out, do you not need to breathe? Is that something I don't know about being knocked out?
No, you don't need to breathe, because when that person finds you on the beach,
with your mouth closed, you're good in the water.
There's always still the water in your lungs, so that when they find you and go, "Hey there," and sit you up, you can cough out water.
If you get knocked out and you're face up with your mouth closed in the water, you're perfectly fine.
This is science. This is science.
Speaking of science, this doctor's smoking a cigarette in this Mexican hospital that she
Mexico, you can do what you want.
She's been in for 3 days. She also finds out that her disc was destroyed in the watery accident, but she's got a business card with a password on it potentially.
To be clear though, too, the disc was destroyed by the sun, is what he says, implying that the disc was above the water
in the beach,
in the sun,
on the beach. Where they found her,
and they picked it up for her.
Yes.
You left your disc on the beach, but we got it
because somehow, like just
that's what's important.
Like carrying something like, how much does a floppy disk weigh? What are the odds of it and her washing up on shore in the same location? And someone being like, "Oh, this is important. Let's take this with us when we take her to the hospital."
This very weathered floppy disk must belong to this unconscious lady. And it must
so this unconscious lady, Angela Bennett, if you guys didn't know who this was, she's going to find out quickly when she goes back to her hotel that she has checked out. She checked out while she was checked out. And amongst that chaos, she also finds out that there is a border lady out of nowhere that finds her out of nowhere and is like, "Here, sign these papers. You're Ruth Marks, right? You're Ruth Marks. You're Ruth Marks, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're Ruth Marks. Okay, cool. You're Ruth Marks." She signs that paper, and then she goes back.
But I thought she was Angela Bennett.
Yeah, she's not. She has no proof that she's Angela Bennett. She's lost all of her things, so she's gonna go with Ruth Marks because she's gonna be stuck in Mexico if she doesn't take this one and only opportunity to get back into America with this new ID and stuff. Somehow she gets through the border and gets back home to find that her house has been sold within the week.
They also give her like the name of the most prominent communist ever to get back into the United States with. Yeah, they might as well just like named her like. Like Fidel Stalin or something like.
Yeah, but it's not the identity they give her. I mean, spoilers for later in the movie, and paying attention, is the name of the woman who assumes her identity.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that was funny
Face-off
too.
situation, if you will.
Yeah. And so, like, I felt really
that
bad for
girl-
that other woman because
yeah.
they added all this shit to Ruth Marx's like criminal record. I'm like, that was that other criminal woman who was only doing like minor crimes. Now you've added a bunch of shit to her that she didn't
It's
do.
funny though that your job in this whole like caper is be the lady who answers the phone if this woman calls herself. You just answer the phone as her. That's your job. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So yeah, Ruth, or sorry, not Ruth, Angela
Oh my
Bennett
God.
is back at her.
It even fooled humor.
Yeah, well, I know it's very
It's a
tricky.
great
I don't know if
movie.
you guys were paying attention to the movie. It's the seed, like, come on. So Angela Ruth Bennett Marks, she finds out her home's been sold to her dismay. Which one of the scenes when she like walks in and she's like, like that kind of fucked with me. I was like, oh man, that would break my brain to just walk into the house I expect and everything's gone. So yeah, she's assigned to be Ruth Marks. Devlin has entered an arrest record for Ruth, which includes prostitution and drug dealing and all sorts of surprising goodies that Angela Bennett has no actual priors to, but you know, petty larceny, narcotics, parole, prostitution twice, prostitution 3 times actually.
So prostitution
Once, twice,
before
3
she
times
was
later.
before she was 20, when she was 19 years old.
Yeah.
That's a bit old, actually.
Yeah, she sees that she's gonna get arrested by the cops, so she bails out. She pulls a bait and switch with the old phone, giving it to an old guy and calling her ex-flame, played by Dennis
Miller.
Former lover and psychiatrist
He was
Alan Champion.
terrible in this movie, by the way.
He was the worst.
This is not the kind of role you cast Dennis Miller as. I know he was kind of hot in 1995, but he was just awful.
He was he felt very out of place.
Especially in like the dramatic stuff, like later, and he's like dying. In the
Well,
hospital.
he gives like he just
come closer.
Well, and it's like
what?
Like how intentional is it that he's giving off like creepy vibes like half the time?
I don't know.
Like he's like 25% like caring, 50% creepy vibes, and like 25% like someone else. But it's like, what like. Yeah, like even just like that, like just that right there, because he's like, hey, we could make a Gibson in this scene. Like he just looks not like somebody you'd want to have helping
Her
you.
body language does not read, I'm down with this. And he's just like, we're going to get drunk and laid? That's why you called? Yeah? It's like, no, Dennis. No, we're not. Speaking of callbacks and old 90s callbacks, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when she hands the phone off to this old guy and he pulls up, he's like, clever girl. That's a whole tip of the hat to Jurassic Park. So yeah, Angela eventually logs into Bethesda Naval Hospital's computer and learns that Under Security of Defense, what a fucking weird title, Under Security of Defense, Bergstrom. Like, is that a real title? Who had opposed gatekeepers' use by the federal government, was misdiagnosed with HIV. That's right, he was negative, misdiagnosed. Was not infected, so he, you know, took a silver laxative for no reason.
Are you saying there's gaps in the American healthcare system? Because if that's what you're saying, I won't have it.
There's no proof of that whatsoever at all.
Right.
So yeah, Angela eventually reaches out to her old cyber buddies to find out a little more about Praetorian, and the Backdoor Pie is connected to Praetorians, a notorious group of cyber terrorists who are linked to recent computer failures. Don't mess with them, as Cyber Bob is telling her.
Cyber Bob.
He's a good guy, that Cyber Bob. You know that.
Cyber Bob. We never get to see
bad.
We all need a Cyber Bob in our lives.
Okay, so Angela and Cyber Bob are supposed to meet up at the pier for like 7 p.m., but Cyber Bob apparently gets intercepted by Devlin at some point.
Yeah, he goes to, because Cyber Bob has his like online avatar like as a little sticker by his like buzzer at his apartment building.
Angela eventually manages to escape Devlin after attempting to meet with Cyber Bob, and who was revealed to be a contract killer for the cyber terrorists. Surprise, surprise! Like that wasn't obvious by this point. But the Praetorians, they find out that Alan Champion is helping her, and they ultimately get to Champion by fucking with his pharmacy and hospital computer records. He basically goes into a penicillin-induced coma. Where they're like, "Oh, he'll be okay. We'll take care of him," and they don't. At the end of the point of the matter is they don't take care of him at all. Dennis Miller dies, and this is what leads to Davan's favorite scene of the film, actually.
It's hard to pick a favorite scene in a movie that didn't really have any good
I don't
scenes.
understand. You said he was gonna be fine. He was fine.
I know I did. I tried
sorry.
everything. The insulin caused
No,
his
no,
blood
it's
pressure.
penicillin. He was on penicillin.
Worst
No,
hospital
Dr.
ever.
Champion was being held for the treatment of diabetes.
No,
He went into
no,
Literally
no.
said penicillin earlier,
No, he
lady.
was not
like,
a diabetic.
2 days ago.
He
maybe.
wasn't diabetic. No, he
He's like, you know what? Fuck the internet. Like that was just like this. She's like, I've had enough of this internet.
Enough with the internet.
Fair enough, internet.
And that's
Someone's
the
gonna have to
symbolism
clean that
there.
up.
She smashed the screen. Yeah, well, not her.
Yeah, that was like the most COD lobby scene of the whole movie right there. She smashed her, smashed the screen.
But yeah.
So Angela is ultimately forced to steal a car.
Basically, that was my favorite scene because they killed Dennis Miller.
Harsh. I mean, it was also my favorite scene because they killed Dennis Miller, but harsh. So yeah, Angela ultimately steals a car, and she's forced to steal a car and flee from the LAPD. But she's chased and arrested by California
It's not
Highway
the Secret
Patrol.
Service. They're supposed to deal with this type of thing.
It turns out California Highway Patrol is more effective than the Secret Service at they capture Angela Martha Brooks Bennett and put her in jail. While in jail waiting for trial, she is on false charges.
Mugshot.
That's a great mugshot, yeah. While she's waiting for her false charges, a man... Oh, actually...
Just mugshots and sexy mugshot guy. Remember him?
This was leading to my favorite scene of the film, right here, actually. It had the most, like, emotional weight to it. Is her trying to be like, everyone's dying around me.
How you doing?
Nobody believes who I am. I can't find my FedEx guy to tell them who I am. Mom, you've got Alzheimer's. You remember me, right, Mom? You remember me, Mom?
Sure do, Ruthie.
It's Angela. Mom, listen, I need you to do something.
This is
for
not
me.
Sandra Bullock's
There's
best
a lady
performance
here
in a
that
movie
I need
either,
for
I'll
you
tell
to-
you that much.
What?
She's gonna get on the phone, and I need for you to tell her that she's that on me, okay? Because she doesn't believe me.
Here, Davan. Can't you tell?
Can you tell her that?
Like, it's one of those cases, like this scene, like, yeah, I get it. It kind of, you know,
don't-
maybe
no.
drives home her isolation, but sometimes it's hard to hit those emotions when you're not feeding off somebody else, right? I don't know if they had Dennis Miller cracking jokes on the other side of the phone there to try to help out with the mood or not.
Yeah, so that was my favorite scene. I felt, as you said, it really drove home the stress that she's under. She's at her breaking point at this point, you know, and she's regaled to being a prisoner until, you know, she's not anymore. Ben from the FBI, who is a friend of Champion's, has pulled her out, was bailing her out of jail, which she's, you know, thankful for. But not 5 minutes later, while driving,
This guy has the most untrustworthy mustache of all time.
It's pretty untrustworthy. Ben is ultimately an imposter. He's not an FBI agent, or he could be. So she doesn't, you know, play any. She doesn't play any games. She pulls the wheel and gets his vehicle to crash directly into
Devlin's vehicle.
Devlin's car. Of all vehicles, of all places.
But look, all right.
into his car.
If you look at this screen grab you have right here, does this look like the same place that the scene in Hackers where they did the exchange took place?
Oh yeah, you can see down the road with the smoke and stuff. Yeah.
with like, and
The road
they're
isn't cobblestone enough.
Yeah, it's not cobbly enough, you're right, but it has the tracks in it though, the cable car tracks, the
They were
train
just
tracks.
sharing sets the whole time they were producing these.
This is what every street looked like in 1995. Actually,
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
every city had a dark street with train tracks.
Wouldn't it be funny if you could just see Dade Murphy in the back, just looking upset with himself?
They literally filmed it on the same day.
Same time, yeah. Couldn't share sets.
They
no,
said
we'll
that
both film.
When I was writing it, it's like she kills the imposter with his own gun, but I was reviewing the scene, she doesn't. She just crashes the car and he ends up dying.
Well, I mean, he's knocked unconscious. I don't know if it's explicitly that he dies, but he gets knocked.
My God, you gotta type quieter there, KH. That is
sorry,
really coming through on your microphone. No worries.
Cracking away over there.
Cracky.
Such an angry typer.
Yeah, Angela is running from Devlin, and he gets him caught up on a bridge, and she basically hitchhikes her way to the cathedral's office in San Francisco. After she finds some time to break away in a hotel, a woman that has really no identification, no ID, no.
How did she get in there?
No money.
Who let her in?
It's a motel, not a hotel.
I mean, does she have money though? Like, you gotta at least put a deposit down. Like, where's she getting the money?
She must have a little pocket money, doesn't she? No pocket money.
Maybe
she's been on the run this whole time.
Did Alan give her some money? Maybe I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, this is just after she got out of jail.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, they have to give her belongings back once they let her out.
Do they?
So yeah, she's all over the news. She breaks back into Cathedral's office in San Francisco, where she does a little almost Matrix-esque walking through and avoiding, agents and stuff. Heads back to the desk where she finds her doppelganger, Ruth Angela Bennett Marks, at the phone.
She's smart, at least. Just like the only lead you have is like this lady answers the phone as you every time you call her, so you can get to her. That's a start.
Yeah, and she's in the office, so she's like, "Oh, I found her. Angel's nearby. She's told to be immediately killed." So Ruth Angela Bennett Marks, is looking around for Angela Ruth Marks Bennett. Angela Ruth Marks Bennett calls in the fire tower and shuts the whole place down. A big fire alarm. They all go about their business. While that's happening, she's uncovering the plot by Greg Microsystems to sell gatekeeper organizations that have been sabotaged by the Praetorians. Angela downloads another 3.5-inch disc and escapes just as the imposter realizes her presence.
Greg Jeff.
This scene was ridiculous. I don't know why this fireman would take his stuff off so she could
toss it there.
Man.
Like, why is he popping?
Heat rises.
Why is he popping a random ceiling tile?
Yeah, is the water valve not on? Do you got to turn it with a hand pump?
I know the button for the fire alarm's up here somewhere.
She steals a hitman style, fire department gear and heads out. After Angela downs the evidence, back to her film. Devlin and the Ruth Angela Bennett Marks imposter. This is getting very.
Using yourself, Murphy.
Yeah, just
pick one.
They decide to chase her down to the convention center, which I don't know if you guys have ever been to a crazy large convention center like this, but this would take hours to find somebody if you don't know where you're looking for them. If
same thing when I mean, you kind of glossed over the fairground thing or carnival, whatever, too. Like, he finds her in there, no problem too. Yeah, it's like
no, they didn't. He didn't find her there, no problem. Okay, so what happened there is she was gonna meet Cyber Bob at the pier for 7 p.m., but they interrupted her message, so he cut her off. And
fair. Okay.
But yeah, so she escapes to the convention center, where she proceeds to implement. One breaks the news to all the departments, adds attachments and proof, and then she goes to destroy using the Fleet 3.5 disk all the data and stuff like that. She puts in the red one where it's a virus, and she convinces Devlin to press escape, causing the virus to destroy all the information. While that's happening, she decides to run away.
No, my information.
not nuclear and coal. Oh no, what will we ever do with these without these?
What's the other thing? What's the other thing?
Corrugation? It's about cardboard.
Corrugation.
So yeah, Devlin releases a virus in Greg's mainframe, destroying Gatekeeper and undoing the erasing of her identity, which I don't know how that works, but sure. Apparently, they just hit /Z on all of their deleting of her identity, and she's recovered that. While that's happening, there's a whole fight scene on the catwalk where, there's a scene where Devlin shoots the imposter Ruth Marks, and he chases Angela onto the catwalk, where basically, she plays hide and go seek and fucking cracks him with a fire hydrant.
They foreshadowed it in the movie. She's good at hitting people in the head with large cylindrical objects. So, she does it again.
And also, you foreshadowed it with the fireman with no head. You don't see his head, and then she uses a fire hydrant to crack somebody in the head.
You think, oh, wow. So a firefighter with no head and then a fire extinguisher making head contact.
Yes.
You think that was deliberate? That's your takeaway from this movie?
I think that's the smartest thing they put in this movie.
But then, the classic, she doesn't kill him, the fall kills him, right? Like, she didn't do anything.
Kills him. Angela ambushes Devlin with the fire extinguisher, causing him to fall to his death, which is second-degree murder. In the end, Angela ultimately regains her identity.
Just gonna blame the poor fireman.
Yeah. These were backwards.
And that extinguisher's going to get charged as first-degree murder.
She watches her stuff they get this nice, fun transition of flowers.
And what it looks
like
when your
father's
father's
identity, home, and life. She reunites with her mother, who still does not remember her. Angela then goes back to her old solitary life. Through a series of news reports, the conspiracy is exposed, and Jeff Gregg is arrested by the FBI. And that is the net. And they end with a little Praetorian symbol to make you think there could be more, which will lead into my movie morsels.
It's all real.
It's all real. It all happened.
Which performance would you guys hold up in this movie?
For me, it was going to be at least Sandra Bullock. She held.
Yeah, I think Sam, as a lead, she's in 97% of the scenes in this movie or something, right? So
yeah,
and she's solid, no issues with her performance. I kind of felt like Devlin, Jeremy Northman, there were parts of his performance that I was like it felt a little inconsistent. I don't mean some decisions about
Spike from Buffy.
He looked a lot like him. I had to think that a couple times too, but it was too early.
Yeah. So I never really watched Buffy, so I wouldn't have made that connection.
Yeah,
Aren't you, Chow?
I like Sandra Bullock's performance. She she played sort of meek, knowledge exhausted really well, and then her sort of I'm just somebody trying to survive to get to that point of all right, I'm tired.
She's
of this.
a good actress.
Yeah,
they really owned it.
Well, I think it worked well because they didn't set her up as a helpless, shut-in nerd type. They set her up as more like a strong, independent type who just sort of chose to kind of be that way. It wasn't like she was, they didn't do the she removes her glasses and is suddenly beautiful type crap that they do with, nerdy girls and a lot of shit. It's just no, she just chooses to be this way, and she has her shit together. She just kind of does things a little bit differently. And I think
people were getting on her constantly, even from
sometimes
let's go to dinner. No, how about dinner? No.
Yeah. And then he dies, and she's like, I don't give a shit about you.
Wait, was that the same guy?
Yeah, it was the guy who died in the plane crash who asked her to dinner a bunch in the opening scene, and she's like,
"That was the same guy."
She's like, "I have a standing offer," because she goes and
no, that wasn't the same.
Guy.
Are you thinking of Dennis Miller and Ray McKinnon, or is that what you think is the same guy?
Not Dennis Miller.
No, and when she's on the phone at the beginning, the guy's like, "Hey, how about dinner?" She's like, "No, thanks.
Yeah.
How about dinner tomorrow night, the next night?"
Yeah,
and she says, "I have a standing.
I don't do dinner those nights."
A standing arrangement," she says, and then it kind of cuts to her hanging out with her mom. Yeah, it's that guy who asks her about dinner.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Well, what about you, Chow? What about your performance that held up this movie?
Dale, he died like a champ in that airplane.
He did.
Yeah, he exploded with the best of them.
Now Dale, there it is.
The wide eyes before he. Yeah, there you go. That right there. Performance
There it was.
of a lifetime.
That's the performance of the
Nailed
movie
it.
right there.
It's like, dude, we're gonna turn on some bright lights. Look scared.
Yeah. Look how he played those flames.
How he played those flames. Yeah.
Watch
The
your life.
flames.
Setting aesthetic.
Like I don't know how he didn't see
Boring
the
like
lights
the
on those
movie.
towers, but
Yeah, like nothing.
The setting and aesthetic, I wouldn't. It's not boring. It's genuine. It's the 90s. It's 95. Like there's nothing about these, like it could have been brighter in the darker scenes and stuff like that, but like it's
like
the lighting in this movie made me feel like it was an 80s movie.
A little bit, yeah. It was that like bridge of like late 80s, early 90s lighting. Not quite a
mid-90s.
like
They should have known better
drama.
by
then.
Yeah.
Not quite a B movie.
No, like I think like the cinematography like holds up fairly well. Like it doesn't. Yeah, like
TV movie. Yeah,
it's not so obvious when it was made. You know what I mean? Like there are some movies where it's like either because of technological advances or like some technique advances where you're like, oh shit, this movie was made in like this 3-year window or something. But this one, other than the sort of the technology like featured in the film, the stuff, how it was presented, I feel like
Mozart's Ghost.
It holds up in that way. Like, it's like, okay, this is like a movie from the 90s, and there are certain aspects of it that it's like, well, it's like maybe, like Gavin said, kind of bland at times, but that's not, like, I sometimes really like movies that are like hyper stylized, and this movie was like the inverse of that. Like, there was not, it was about what was happening to Sandra Bullock's character. It wasn't a artistic piece in sort of any other sense with audio or visual design in any way.
Yeah, no.
I just could have used
surprise, motherfucker.
A little more surprise.
A little more surprise.
All right, movie morsels for the net 1995. The movie was left a little open-ended, and they tried to capitalize on that open-endedness in 1998.
Net 2? No way.
No. The Net, the American TV series, a 1-season, 22-episode season of The Net based off of the film, the 1995 film.
Happened or was gonna happen?
It's a thing.
Oh my god!
No, yeah. There's one season that came out in 1998. It was like 22 episodes. Just had one season. But
Jeremy Renner was in that show. Oh my god!
What?
Wow. I did not know that. I didn't look that much into it. I was just like looking up other things. This isn't the only film called The Net. There's a 1916 film called The Net, a 1923 film called The Net, a 1950
also about the internet
called The Net,
ahead of
a
their time.
1975 film called The Net, and a 2016 film called The Net. None of them are actually about the internet. All of them are various from
about booby traps.
The early ones dealing with like
not even about nets,
infidelity and like relationships. Some of the 2050 ones are about heists and stuff like that. The one that sounded the most interesting, and Davan, you probably would be interested in checking this one. The 2016 film The Net is a South Korean film about a North Korean fisherman who's fishing, and his net gets caught up in his propeller blades, sending him adrift to South Korea, where he's then captured and interrogated to see if he's some sort of like spy for North Korea and stuff like that. And that's what that film's about.
I want to see some dude get tortured to see if he was a spy.
Yeah. Some South Korean propaganda-esque film. So the actual movie morsels for the film, aside from those ones that were titled, Angela's chat room contact Cyber Bob tells her about the Praetorians, an Illuminati-esque group, which he states has an affiliation with Wall Street. In reality, this is the name of an extremely private internet and corporate security company in Texas whose customers actually do include Wall Street. The game that Angela is playing or debugging at the beginning of the movie is the Apple version of Wolfenstein 3D from 1992.
Wolfenstein.
Stein.
Was it Stein or was it Wolfenstein?
No,
It was
it's
definitely
Stein.
Wolfenstein.
Was Berenstain
Merwin?
Bears or Berenstain Bears?
You know what? Don't get started on the Berenstain Bears because it's not even the. Yeah, because it's AI is how it actually spelled, right?
Yeah, I know. People were just dyslexic,
editions
so they
of the
thought it
game
was
released on the
Berenstain.
Atari Jaguar and the 3DO. At the beach scene, the book she's reading is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The TV news report about Bergstrom's suicide is presented by...
It's more romantic than cholera. Tell me.
Exactly. Bergstrom's suicide is presented by Daniel Shore, a career journalist who is best known for his years as a reporter for CBS News. 2 years after The Net, he also played a news reporter in The Game, 1997. Also written by John Braccato and Michael Ferris, and 3 years after that in The Siege in 1998. So it's a CBS connection from our last episode about TV. And the final movie morsel, Dr. Champion, I almost said Chaplin, Dr. Champion says that 2 teenagers broke into an Atlanta computer system to write Braves Suck in 1995. The year this film was released, the Atlanta Braves definitely did not suck. In fact, they won the World Series.
Wow.
Just a spite. Out of spite. That's a spite.
Of the film. The film that was released on July 28th, 1995 with a runtime of 115 minutes, a budget of $22 million, and a box office of $110.6 million. This movie was a fucking smash hit in 95.
Wow.
Those were a really long 115 minutes. All right, rewatchability. For me, no. Too long and boring.
Wow.
I could probably rewatch that again.
I mean, sure, it's like an okay movie, but there's nothing in that movie that I'm like, I want to rewatch that because either I thought it was really cool or I thought it was slick or there's like some detail I want to see if I pick up on. Like there weren't any scenes that made me feel like it was very neutral throughout as far as my kind of emotional state. So yeah, for me, it's like there wouldn't be any reason to rewatch it. There wasn't anything that I'm like, oh shit, that was so cool. It's like, okay, that was one of the movies that was made.
As a
likable characters you want to visit again.
Really good time capsule for like showing technology at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
better than hackers in that regard.
It showed like appropriate hacking and computer operation. It wasn't just like 3D fucking camera mazes.
Yeah. No. I think if you pay attention to like, you know, the strings of text she puts in, like the only one I was able to really pick up on is like, you know, doing like who is commands and stuff. Like, yeah, like she's doing actual DOS commands and you know, not just crazy graphics. Yeah.
I knew the 3D camera mazes weren't going to take off.
Yeah.
I mean, I was intrigued by those.
I don't know when it came out, but like another one that was like really bad was like Lawnmower Man. When did that movie?
Oh yeah, Lawnmower Man might end up on this show at some point.
That was 92. That
Johnny Mnemonic, another one, remember?
Oh yeah, oh man, Johnny! I love Johnny Mnemonic.
I would have swapped out The Net for Johnny Mnemonic.
That's
is it an internet movie? It's not really an internet movie, Johnny.
No,
The Matrix? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he goes on the internet.
How about you, Chow? Rewatch this movie?
I'd be okay if I never saw it again.
Yeah.
It just felt like something I watched a million times. Like I probably watched it once when I was little when it first came out, and I thought it was good. So I was pretty excited to rewatch it for this. And kind of like Davan, I felt a little deflated.
You were thinking it was The Fugitive starring Harrison Ford.
Oh God,
which is basically also this movie. It feels just like this movie.
Well, that's it, right? Yeah, it's a movie about someone who's been wronged and being chased by the wrong people and trying to prove their innocence, right? Like we've seen that movie a bunch of times.
I do like the premise though, because I like to think about what I would have done if this happened to me, and I for sure just would have died.
Yeah, he's still stuck
very early on.
you would have been murdered by the real estate agent in your house, and just
watched your movie.
Be murdered
This
by the
movie was
guy
way
who's
too
not even
long.
trying
I
to
want to
kill
watch
me,
your movie.
It'd be very short.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Or does it hold up for me? No. I was so bored. I thought I was gonna like it. Sandra Bullock and some intrigue and some internet hacking and stuff. But no. I had to try to watch this movie so many times.
God,
It's like I say, I was surprised. This was the one I thought I was gonna love.
I'm surprised too. I thought this was gonna be one I fucking hated, and you don't like it. I don't understand. This was a really well balanced film. Maybe apparently it was too balanced. It was too bland.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like it's just there. I could watch 50 other movies that are basically like the same plot, like, and I don't usually watch those movies. So again, for my tastes, yeah, it's one that, like, I mean, I guess in a way it does hold up because that's a story that some people find compelling. Like average person loses their life and has to get it back. It's basically, there's a whole bunch of like revenge type movies that follow that same premise. Like if she started gung fuing a bunch of people.
This one.
Yeah,
We watched the same film in Guns Akimbo, which is the next film we're going to be watching.
We'll talk about Guns Akimbo here in a second.
We'll talk about Guns Akimbo.
All right. Did we all answer the hold up question?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Out. Yeah.
I
think knows. No,
I think,
Murphy.
I have to agree with the call. I think it, in a way, it does hold up. I think you could.
Did you guys all switch your votes? Is this 3 hold ups and 1 no hold up?
Yeah, I think it holds up.
Oh wow.
There you go.
Like I said, I don't personally enjoy the movie, but I think it does hold up because the story that it's just one of these like B- movies that like it you know what I mean? Like where
that's
like,
what it wasn't intending to be.
Right, but I'm not saying it's like a B movie in the way we think of B movies, but like in the way that it's solid but not remarkable in any way. But it's because it's not remarkable that I wouldn't watch it. But it's certainly I can't fault it. It's just not one that really does anything for me.
What is your wife going to say about your comments here?
Oh, she already knows. She's already threatened various levels of divorce because I don't share her passion for this movie. She actually said she said I want them to replace you with me for talking about the net, even though I don't know any of these people except for Andrew.
Like I said, bring her on. You should have brought her on.
Tag her in.
Come here.
Well, we've added it to the B movie section. We all said Hackers is not a hold up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's put
but
into
still the best
C
of these 3
category.
movies.
Yes, it's the best of these 3 movies, but it doesn't hold up. Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, let's talk about what I think is the best of these 3 movies. Surprisingly, over here in Theater 3, Guns Akimbo, starring from 2020, starring Daniel Radcliffe, Samara Weaving, Ned Dennehy, and Natasha Liu Bordizzo. Directed by Jason Lee Howden. So that's what we got here. Want to hit us with a trailer there, Murphy?
Sure.
For this gem of a film.
Theater banner.
Someone's trying to kill me! Please, go drive now! I'm Miles, and first day of my life.
Another schism.
Schism picked random psychos, weirdos, and criminals and made them fight each other to the death.
No, see, they spelled it wrong because they wanted you to know how to actually say it.
Definitely not schism. It's like schedule.
You scared yet? Welcome to Schism.
Yeah, see, I saw this trailer and I'm like, I'm gonna hate this movie, but I didn't.
They have my
This is a fun romp.
And some psycho is trying to kill me. I'm not a fighter. I'm a nobody. Hey, I need help.
This movie reminded
It's
me
one
of
thing to say you
Follow the
can't face
Shotgun.
violence, but when it faces you, you better be ready.
Follow the Shotgun on meth.
When the shit goes down, you better be ready. You better be ready.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene
So much
too.
about this fucking movie that annoys me.
I gotta kill you.
Oh my god, we are different
Excuse me,
species, maybe.
I don't get how you can like this movie but not Atomic Blonde. I was fairly
Well, I'll
certain
explain
while
you.
watching
I'll
this
explain
movie,
you.
This is the movie you saw when you watched Atomic Blonde. I was like, oh, this is the fucking kids music video fest that he was talking about when berating Atomic Blonde. This is what he was talking about. I get it. He won't like this movie. Surely he won't like this movie. And what is he fucking telling me?
Easy, I'll explain it all. Your head may still explode.
Clumsy. Yes.
Did I win?
Okay, so here you go, Murphy. This movie was funny. This movie made me laugh out loud a bunch of times.
Oh,
What
man.
Atomic Blonde was just super boring. Like, yeah, Charlize Theron's pretty, but it was just glamour shots of her for like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes, and it offered me nothing. It was even in a historical setting, which normally interests me. And this one is like, it shouldn't have interested me at all. It's about internet culture and things I don't like, but like it was talking about that. It was like hanging a lantern on all that bullshit like I don't like about Twitter and TikTok and all this shit. And it was pointing it out, and not subtly. So, and excuse me. And it was hilarious. Like I say, this movie, and the action was interesting. It was colorful. I like this movie. This movie was my favorite of the three. I enjoyed myself
First of all,
the entire time.
the
It was a
reason
little
I
long. I think it could have been an hour-long Black Mirror episode.
That would have been far more entertaining. Like, okay, one, the reason I picked this episode is a friend of mine has raved about this movie to me since it came out. She saw it at TIFF, and she was like the biggest fan of this film. So I was like, okay, this seems like a good reason
movie.
to watch this film.
A good friend.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, it fits in the internet category perfectly. Like I said, it's a combination of the previous two films. But I did not enjoy watching this film. The action was stupidly cartoonish. The camera angles, there's so many forced perspectives and barrel rolls. I thought
yes, I was like, oh man, I was like, is this the director's signature move, the friggin' barrel roll shot? Because it happened so many times.
Dizzy and like grossed out by some of like the camera movements there was breaking of 180. There was so much wrong with this film that I just couldn't enjoy myself watching. There was a couple of funny. I don't even know if there was a couple funny scenes. Like, no, there was. There was. Funny scenes. There was one scene that I chose that I held up because just the way it was delivered. But like, ultimately, I did not enjoy this movie, and I don't get it. How did you like this, but you didn't like Atomic Blonde, which is
I don't see why you relate those two films. No, it's a boring version of what this is. Atomic Blonde had an unlikable lead character. This movie had a very likable lead character. Daniel Radcliffe was very good in this. Like, you root for him. Like, that's why the whole point of the movie too. The internet starts to root for him too.
Chalkboard to me. I didn't like. She was so.
Yeah, I didn't care about Nyx, but she was just like there to try to kill him. Like,
but she was also like an integral part of the plot, as we're about to get into here.
But yeah,
but before we do that, my favorite, Andrew, Kyle, what were
still better than Atomic Blonde?
Before him and I get into this cartoonish debate.
No, like this movie just it exhausted me so fast. If I was not watching it to comment on it for this, I would have probably turned it off about 25 minutes in, because it was just like, and I'm someone who typically will gravitate towards movies that are a bit like stylized and maybe a little like sometimes over the top, but I just felt like this, it missed the mark everywhere it tried to do that. Like,
has anybody here seen Hobo with a Shotgun?
Yes.
I have not actually watched that.
Okay. If you ever see that movie, like Andrew, you have, it gave me that vibe, that sort of lampoonish violence, but it was dialed up a couple notches more to like a degree that I did not enjoy. the 3D, like not even 3D. It's just the clearly like After Effects blood spatters and
Well,
stuff
there's
like
there's a
that.
certain amount of there's a certain amount of like gratuity that when you make it too gratuitous, it's like, well, now it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind a little bit of like ultra violence in my movies if it like means something, but in this movie, it's like they do the two sort of scenes where they introduce Nyx, like the one in the cars, and another one where she's just shooting up people in some warehouse or whatever. And it's just like, okay, like, yeah, it's just like,
I think they could have cut 30 minutes of that stuff out of them.
well, the final shootout I think runs for like 18 minutes or something stupid, like in the last scene where they're going, and it's like this did not need to be this long because it's literally just like,
listen, Linda.
The guy, the director had like his checklist of like, he had his checklist of here are cool scenes I want to put in
Nyx's
my
warehouse
movie.
shootout scene is awesome because there's a quick little scene in there where she unloads a couple bullets in some guy's ass and then continues to shoot him in the head afterwards. That's awesome.
Well, let's get into
to me, this movie was the most accurate and least sci-fi of all these 3 movies we watched.
I'm definitely on Team Davan on this one. I went into this like with zero expectations. It's actually the first of the 3 movies that I had to rewatch out of these ones. Oh, this is my first time seeing it.
Yeah,
and I just went into. I remember seeing the cover for it and not thinking anything of it. Like, I'll never watch this movie, and the only reason I watched it was for this. And I was pleasantly surprised. I had fun.
When everyone's seen like the Daniel Radcliffe memes, right? Like that came from this movie, with him holding his hands up there at the, in his robe and looking like an idiot.
And I think some of the action scenes were, it is gratuitous. It's supposed to be kind of like a video game, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. It's like a real life.
Yeah, they said it. No, sure, I can appreciate that. Yeah, it just missed the mark for me. It just wasn't.
It's supposed to be silly.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think the thing is they were just they couldn't find the balance between silly and like effective.
Because it's a comedy, right? It's not like a thriller.
Yeah, it's comedy. That's why I liked it.
That's it for me. Like it just didn't hit the right balance for me. Yeah.
I watched 2 boring movies and then this one, and I was like, finally I can like enjoy myself a little bit.
So Guns Akimbo from 2020, the film opens up with our main antagonist, Schism here, opening with like a dialogue scene.
This is going to be a quick breakdown, likely, because there's not a big plot here. It's just
there's not.
Unless you're going to describe the fight scenes.
My question
and then there was a barrel roll.
My question in the first scene is how can she see because she has like her hood over her eyes while they're driving?
Yeah, like very limited vision. I kind of like I skipped past all that for time's sake. So yeah, Daniel Radcliffe plays the role of Miles Lee Harris, a computer programmer who enjoys trolling online trolls. He basically lives a at home, does nothing lifestyle, and works for a really shitty computer game company. It's when he insults viewers, huh? Nut bust 2.
Nut bust 2.
He takes.
Some of the comments like that constantly pop up in this movie that people are like writing on the chat boards or whatever are actually really funny.
Yeah, it's a very excellent like farce of what the internet is and all that stuff. So yeah, when Miles insults viewers who turn murder into entertainment on the form of an underground fight club and criminal organization known as Schism. Richter, played by Ned Dennehy, is the kingpin and psychopath who runs Schism. Sorry. He eventually breaks into Miles' apartment because Miles basically shoots his fucking mouth off. And
go back to that last one, like 3 shots ago. Where it's like that big, there. See, like
the chaos, There was a lot of just like
some of that stuff was pretty funny.
The one line he says in this
that's not the best
that
example.
I've found kind of funny is he's like in everyday life I'm just a loser, but behind a keyboard I'm a motherfucking assassin or some bullshit like that, and he's just trolling people, and it's just like he thinks he's the baddest ass of the world, and it's just you got to chuckle out of me for that.
It's like, yeah, get mad, yeah.
So yeah, Schism narrows in on him, and they eventually break into his apartment with his henchmen, which leads to real early the one scene for me that holds up.
Now, you busy little hands, they need to be done on this.
No, please don't smash my hands. No, I really like using them.
Now relax, Miles. We didn't come here to smash your hands.
Why did you tell me to bring the hand smashing hammer then?
Hand smashing hammer.
That character was probably the funniest in my whole experience of watching this film. So yeah, they basically knock him out and drug him. I need to remember. Yes. They drug him and basically install with very big drills a couple guns in his hands, which leads to, I believe this is Andrew's pick or Kyle's pick. Andrew, yeah, this is your pick for the scene that holds up.
You know how painful that would be?
Ridiculous.
But the thing that really doesn't make sense is he has a bulb through his index finger. How the hell are you going to do this?
What?
Like the pain would be so insane, you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah. So that scene ends pretty shortly, but it's like the whole sequence of him trying to deal with having guns for hands. It's like
trying to take a piss and shit.
Yeah, I just feel like that's everything I would do. Trying to pick up the phone, trying to turn a doorknob.
That's what he
Make a
does.
trying to put on pants.
I felt like as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, I could predict all the other comedy scenes of him trying to interact with shit with his gun hands, and they all happened at some point in the movie.
They all happened within the first 5 minutes.
They were still funny.
Most of them happened. Yeah, most of them happened in that scene, and the ones that didn't happened in that movie. It's like fuck's sakes.
So yeah,
Miles they picked all the low-hanging fruit.
Miles wakes up with guns bolted into both of his hands, and he learns that he has been forced to participate in Schism and is being pitted against Nix, played by Samara Weaving, the game's deadliest and craziest killer, which are then introduced to a scene of Nix doing cocaine off of guns with guns, and proceeding to go through this warehouse of barrel rolls and flippy shit, and this is where I started tuning out. I couldn't handle this entire action scene. It was so terribly filmed that I was just like, oh, this is painful. This is making me actually physically sick. And her sparkly power up with the cocaine, and it was like, what are we trying to be? Are we the Scott Pilgrim of gun shooting movies? Is this what this is supposed to be?
This is way better than Scott Pilgrim.
All right, I'm leaving.
Shut your lips.
I don't know about
Bye,
that.
Davan. See you, buddy. I'm leaving now. See ya.
God.
I know, I'm like the only person that doesn't like that movie, but I find it terrible. It's just like women are a prize to be won in on an Xbox game. Anyway.
So yeah, we get the scene where Nix is told goes to Miles. She just walks into a police station and accesses their database to find out where Miles is. And yeah, then we get the P scene where he's trying to handle his junk, and it gets all floppy dangles on him. We won't be showing that for terms of service reasons. He's trying to put on the pants. While he's doing all this, Miles, just before he leaves, comes across Nix with a fucking dollar bill in her nose. She's intending to kill him, and he wants to reason with her. Miles distracts her with a little Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I will say this movie's pretty much only good when Daniel Radcliffe's on screen.
Yes,
but that isn't a lot of it, if not most of it.
So she shoots up his apartment, causing him to escape to the park, where he meets up with his ex-girlfriend Nova Alexander, played by Natasha Liu Bordizio. She's pretty weirded out by this whole situation. He's being very crackheadish and all that stuff. And he dips out where she
he meets the Aussie guy.
Where she goes off to break it to the cops. Nova reports the situation to Detective Graves, played by Grant Ballard, and his partner Stanton, played by Edwin Wright. hack Nova's phone to track Miles. Miles gets help from a temporary vagrant named Glenjamin, played by the legendary Rhys Darby.
I just love that his name's Glenjamin.
Glenjamin, yeah.
Where I believe we get
everything about this guy is
Kyle's
great.
scene here.
Yeah.
No, this was my pick, wasn't it?
This is Kyle's. Your pick is
Why
actually
shouldn't I?
shortly after this.
Well, the angle's all wrong. You won't hit your brain.
Oh, yeah.
You'll just end up blowing your damn face off.
Oh. Okay, thanks.
And then you'll still be depressed. Even more depressed, probably, because of your fucked up face. Try and angle it right to the rear base of the head.
You can put Rhys Darby in anything and he wins every time.
Okay,
That's
you know
basically
way
why
too
I
much about
had to
this.
pick this.
Just trying to be helpful, man.
Trying to be helpful, man.
The other thing, so 2 reasons. So just Rhys Darby, love him. Like this movie was filmed in New Zealand. It features a lot of New Zealand cast, and like with him, it's just like he's just like, I'm not doing an accent. he's like, if you want me in your movie, I'm just doing my normal fucking voice. And just like, I always feel like he's a very underrated comedic actor, and I feel like he maybe doesn't get a lot of roles because, I mean, if you ever watch Flight of the Conchords, in like the first episode of Flight of the Conchords, he tries to like tone down his accent, and it fails so bad that like they just forget that ever happened for the rest of the show, and he did just let him use his normal voice.
His stand-up is some of the funniest I've watched.
Yeah, so yeah, he just, as soon as I saw him, I did get a little smile on my face. I'm like, all right, like I like him. He that scene, it just the way and like just the crazy look he holds in his eyes in that scene, it's just like he looks
it's a redeeming life raft of entertainment in this movie for me.
Yeah,
as well.
He's very funny.
It leads to Davin's favorite scene because they're almost part of the same thing.
Hey, you don't have anything to eat, do you?
Oh, no.
Well, let's have a look at the pantry.
Let's have a look at
the pantry.
Half a cold hot dog.
You don't have a vegetarian option, do you?
So you don't believe in violence or eating meat?
I don't like contributing to the suffering in the world, I guess.
Well, that's a great philosophy, man, but most people in the world, they just eat whatever they can get.
So yeah, he proceeds to eat that mustard cold hot dog that's been sitting there for 8 months, and chokes it down because, gotta eat what
See, like, at what point, though, like, once it's on the ground, like, I would just go face first and eat it off the ground. Like, why are you trying to pick it up? Like, just go and just get down there and get that thing in your mouth and start eating it. Like, and again, this was like when he gets the gun hands, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be trying to eat scene. So when that, like, I rolled my eyes a little bit because I'm like, yeah, okay, they put the getting pants on and trying to eat food kind of at the same time, even though they kind of doubled down on the getting pants on thing. It was just like, yeah, all right, like, I get it. He can't do it because he has gun hands. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, would you just ignore all that though? I mean, that's whole, like, the whole crux of this movie. He's got guns.
Yeah, like, again, like, I feel like, yeah,
he has to do all those things.
It was a 50-minute movie that they padded with like a ridiculous amount of action scenes.
Yeah, it's a Black Mirror episode. Every single one of these movies tonight would have been better. It's just 50 minutes.
An episode of Black Mirror or The Outer Limits. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the only reason I picked that scene is it's kind of like a self-realization moment for the character, because he's like, I just don't like to add to the suffering and the shit in the world. It's just like, dude, you just go home and troll people to make them angry on the internet. Like, it's literally all you do is add to the shit in the world. Like, so this movie, like, I love how it's just poking at all the things I don't like about the internet. And yeah, this is a good movie.
As Kitty Foreman once said, the internet just sounds like two crazy voices screaming at each other.
So does this podcast oftentimes.
Too often. So to get back into it, Miles heads back to his office where he works, so his friend Hadley, played by Milo Cawthorn, can hack the skin tracking malware on his phone. While doing that, Xander, his boss, gives him some trouble, but Miles finally gets assertive with his continually condescending boss, Xander, only to have Nick show up and begin shooting up the office and killing Xander, giving him a nice facial. Miles
took it like a champ.
Yeah, just like a June. Miles ultimately escapes in a stolen car while Nix chases him down on a motorbike, following a face-off where he again fails to reason with Nix. Um, this time, Miles calls Nova but sees Richter kidnapping her. After his little showdown with Nix, she gets firebombed and is very shocked and awed by all that. But yeah,
He has issues with
Miles
fire.
Yeah,
Miles
She's
calls
a nice
Nova.
person.
She has her hound moment. Yeah.
He sees Richter kidnapping his ex-girlfriend, and he's told he's basically, stop running, start acting. This leads to after this, it leads to yet another shootout, but albeit a hilarious setup where he just kind of drifts across this gang doing some sort of gun deal or drug deal.
This scene was completely pointless. Like this scene
It was hilarious too. Like, what's your
funny.
fucking
It was
problem?
one of
He's
the
just like, I ain't got no
funniest
problem.
They literally could have removed this scene from the movie, and the movie is exactly the same.
Yeah,
It does.
because
I thought this
she's
scene
like
was
shows
funny.
up with a fucking minigun on top of a stack of cars. Like that wouldn't be hard to get up with, and just starts shooting everybody, but missing people at the same time. Which like that thing would have mowed them all down in 5 seconds or less.
Oh yeah, well we can talk about how like in when it shows her going through the warehouse, she has 100% accuracy rate, and yet never manages to hit the main character of the movie with probably combined like 700 rounds by the
That's
time
probably my biggest gripe. She's the best player in this game. She kills a guy doing a 180 in a car.
Yeah.
One shot.
Can't hit this mobile dev nerd. Yeah.
Wearing tiger
They should have
slippers.
addressed it earlier. They addressed it eventually because I was like that too. I'm like, how does this guy not get killed yet? But then they like put like armor on him and shit.
But maybe then she plays to the game. Ever think about that? Like she knows this guy's not a threat. So maybe she's just messing around like a complete psychopath that she is.
And the clicks and the
Which
the
is why
lights
she
and
doesn't mow everyone down in this scene because she's just having fun.
Yeah,
True.
that's true. She's
I think you're onto
hitting
something.
people for fun.
I think it's just bad.
Or that.
That's too.
Or it's just bad.
So during this, the police arrive and arrest Miles.
It's good or it's bad.
This scene went by very quickly. We're being introduced to the fact that DeGraves.
Well, wait a sec. Go back one slide here. Now go back like 5 or 6 more slides to the last time he's looking at his phone. It's at 51% and it's the same time. 51%.
928.
No, don't. This is just
one's
a misplaced
928.
slide. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
That's a part of the previous scene. You're pointing out discrepancies that are clearly my error.
Yeah, this is your
Lord
fault. That
Nikon
this
over
movie
here
doesn't
with
hold up.
his
I mean, I got attention to. Nobody can ever claim that I don't have attention to detail. Okay.
So yeah, we get this scene where the cops capture Miles, and DeGraves breaks down how he's been running basically a RICO operation on Schism, and how they killed his wife and tried to kill his daughter, who turns out to be Nix. And during this whole scene, that's when Stan pulls the gun on DeGraves and kills him immediately, which is just like, okay, so what was the point? Like there was just so random. It was just a random thing. More brains on his face. Like it felt like the same scene I watched earlier.
He's gonna miss the taste of brains when it's gone. He's getting a lot of exposure to it.
You never quite know you're gonna miss the taste of brains, do you?
Stanton plays a video message in which Richter explains that Miles has 30 minutes to kill Nix, or else that he will kill Nova. So we're ramping up to the final end. Miles manages to secretly meet with Nix and tells her that.
Except that 30 minutes is probably like 45 minutes in this movie, but
that's true.
To secretly meet with Nix and tells her that Richter murdered her father and kidnapped his ex-girlfriend. In her rage and desire for revenge, Nix agrees to the plan, where they successfully stage a scene for Schism's broadcast camera drones. And she seemingly guns down Miles about 5 times. Is actually wearing a bulletproof vest he removed from DeGraves. He tried to stress the fact that he only needed to be shot once, but she's crazy and shoots him several times. They have their little puffer and cocaine scene before they knock on the door to have a dude open up, and he just ganks him in the head. And this is where we proceed to get like a 20-minute like.
Yeah. Now he's
killer
he's
scene.
very suddenly an ice cold killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's suddenly got accuracy. He couldn't shoot the gun fucking 40 minutes ago, and she had to give him tips, and now he can like hit everybody, and he's pirouetting and shooting up and down and all around.
She
It's
gave
called
him
experience, Murphy.
she gave him one tip about how to hold his arm, and now
he's
an
one
ice cold
tip, and he's
killer.
John Wick all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So
does it actually show his bullets hitting people? Maybe he's just firing his guns. They're like completely whiffing.
He could be whiffing. I think he definitely hit a few people. Like there was the guy at the door and stuff like that. But yeah.
Like where was he shooting at the ceiling there? Like what? He just looked shooting straight up.
Above.
No one's standing straight above him.
He just got caught up in the moment. He's just doing a pose.
So yeah, the world's watching. Somehow he's watching on his broken TV and like reacting.
No, he's
really
not though. It actually
confusing.
shows that he doesn't have anything on the screen.
Yeah, which they should have ended there, but they go back to him later on, like he's still reacting and watching to the events, and it was just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
he says it's shitty volume.
So yeah, he's like,
This is a
you
great
suck
movie.
for watching this. You're a part of the problem. These two flirt over the shotgun, and then you get this fight scene where she tries to catch a knife and loses her fingers, and she's like, "That just made Friday nights really fucking lonely," which I thought was a funny joke. She eventually, goes all out, kills them all, and blows herself up, committing suicide, taking out the rest of Richter's men.
Yeah, and there's like 40 dudes in this area, and she's just running straight, and she doesn't take
Straight at them. Not one of them has stopped her by shooting her in the leg or the head. They're like winging her arm.
They aren't shooting her though. She's just going.
Yeah, she's
They're
getting
shooting
on
her, but like they're not
Yeah.
not shooting her to stop her. They're
Yeah.
winging her. She should have fell down well before she got to her, intended position.
Yeah,
where
You don't understand how the internet works.
Just dumb.
Is it? I mean, but would you say like that about like Commando? Remember, everyone watch Commando?
Oh, those movies, the Commando's dumb.
So yeah, she sacrifices hope
Yeah,
by detonating
it's
the
the same
suicide
thing.
vest
Hold
that
up,
blows
hold up.
Richter's men.
Yeah, hold up.
When Arnold
Commando?
just hip fires and takes out 70 dudes, that's fucking
and he
dumb.
does the exact opposite of using cover. He pops out of cover.
Yeah, no,
to fire
like,
from his hip.
It's the stupidest shit ever.
But it's awesome.
Firecracker's
And that's what
underrated,
this
man.
is. That's what this is. You want this to be realistic?
No.
No.
He's got guns strapped to his hands in a way that would be so painful. He
what
would
are you
just be
expecting?
unconscious.
Yeah, what am I
You want-
expecting from a movie where the premise is a guy has guns strapped to his head?
Yeah.
It blew my expectations out of the water. I expected less
You're
than
in
nothing.
the wrong headspace.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, we get the scene where the vest blows up and we lose all of Richter's men. We then get a scene where Richter executes Stanton while making his way to the rooftop, with Nova leaving marker trails on the wall to the roof. Miles follows the trail and charges at Richter. They have a little standoff and a bit of shooty shoot. The crowd's watching. They're really intense. The volume's shitty.
Just like that face right there, like that face from Restart V. Yeah, that's like that's the only
Worth
redeeming
every penny
thing
he
of
was
this
paid.
movie to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's the price of admission right there for sure.
That's real acting.
So yeah, Miles basically goes after Richter. They have a face-off. He pushes Richter off the building, and he falls to his death, much to the delight of everybody watching. Miles wins Schism. He hits the ground, and he gets to embrace with the girlfriend. Oops, no, actually, he's just passing out through massive blood loss, and he was imagining a romantic reunion with Nova, who actually becomes frightened and goes into shock after seeing what Miles is turning into in the end. Everybody is solemn, and they stop watching. The live stream has ended. But it actually hasn't. No, nay. We get a cliffhanger where Daniel Radcliffe
Book series
is reading his Guns Akimbo comic that his ex-girlfriend finally started writing. And his hands are no longer balled to the guns that he's willingly holding, for he is now Harry Wick Potter. And he's gonna go shut down the global organization that is Schism with his puffer in hand.
You are killer, Harry.
A nod and a wave.
You're a killer, Harry.
You're a killer, Harry. That's the end of fucking Guns bloody Akimbo.
All right. Well, the performance it's gotta be Rice Darby.
Oh yeah,
is the performance
if
for
that's
me.
if that's not across the board here, it'll be like.
Have you watched the same movie?
Does it qualify as a cameo? Is he like big enough that's like a cameo role? No, because I guess it's multiple scenes, so it's not a cameo now. But like it just it's just like unhinged and stupid.
He's even in like the final scene, like he gives one.
Yeah. Right.
He's a big part of the movie.
He's part of the movie. Like that would be.
I would say Darby's holds up for sure, but you know what? Honestly,
Radcliffe's very good though.
Daniel Radcliffe really holds the movie together. Like he holds the guns. Like it's any part he's in, it keeps it going. Like he definitely acted his ass off and did a really good job.
Well,
the whole movie was very sloppily bolted together.
Such a fucking.
No, Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, like it still feels like in some ways. I know this movie's like a couple years old now. Like he's trying to put himself as far from the Harry Potter verse as much as he can, and he's.
You guys see that one where he's in the jungle? That was a good one.
He's done a lot of weird roles.
The jungle.
Yeah, he's like lost in the jungle.
Is he bald?
It's like a true story about some other guy who got lost in the jungle.
No,
it's that movie where he's bald.
The one where he's a corpse.
The one where he's a corpse with Paul Dano, and he literally he uses him as a boat because when his body starts farting, oh man. So that movie is pretty bad, but it was.
You say jungle, and you guys are all like jungle. But you guys like say boat as a corpse, and it's just like boat corpses.
What's that one called? No, the movie's the one you're talking
internet. See, the world is the Guns Akimbo.
The one you're talking about, Swiss Army Man, is the one where he's the corpse.
Swiss Army Man. That's
Swiss Army Man.
What performance would you hold up, Chow?
I mean, I think it's unanimous across the board. It's a no-brainer.
Rice Darby.
Yeah.
Rice Darby.
Old Darby.
Setting aesthetic, it's crazy, but it didn't bore me like Atomic Blonde. It didn't bore me like The Net. It didn't confuse me like The Hackers.
You were confused about Hackers?
I liked it fine. Well, no, just like how nothing makes sense. Like nothing in their perception of what the internet looks like makes any sense at all. Like their little towers of green lights or letters, and like it's just like, what am I looking at?
Yeah,
like at least I know what I'm looking at in
this movie. What the fuck am I looking at? How many times have we got to barrel roll your camera? Like, where's the action?
I literally wrote that down.
Track somebody's head and then force the entire frame on their head and then pull it out instead of just like simply shooting in a way that didn't have to digitize every camera movement to a sickening degree. I did not enjoy this movie.
I think like overall setting aesthetic. I mean, it's weird because like my comments would almost mirror what I say for like Hackers, and that it's like they went for a particular style, and it's like it's either for you or it's not, right? And if you watch this movie in 10 or 15 years, you're either going to immediately be like, oh shit, this is like so cool and different than other movies I'm used to watching, or you're going to be like, okay, like this is somebody's fever dream that they turned into a movie. And it's not.
Well, that's called Southland Tales, and we covered it on this movie as well.
Southland Tales.
It's much better.
That's the worst movie I've ever seen.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Southland Tales is a masterpiece.
You downgraded it to a C movie, Murphy. It ain't no
because
masterpiece.
you finagled your way into making me downgrade it into a C movie, but my heart still holds true.
Convinced.
It's a B movie.
Convinced is the word, not finagled.
I don't know, like, what is the cast of Southland Tales? Dwayne Johnson, Sean William Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's an amazing.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Justin Timberlake, Kevin Smith, Amy Poehler. Like, what is this?
Oh my god, I'm cutting the Southland Tales off right.
Southland Tales is a prophetic movie of our current times, and the movie Morsels for
Guns Akimbo. Guns Akimbo is prophetic. We're like 2 years away from murdering each other on TikTok.
How many people do you see running down the streets with guns in their hands, attached to their hands?
Give it a couple years.
Give it a couple years, and you're going to start seeing bolted hands.
This is more accurate than
operate
Hackers
guns because they've got
or
bolts
The
in their
Net.
index finger.
That's basically the internet.
That's how is that? What?
That'll be the next TikTok thing that all the kids are doing.
TikTok is not a bolt in the end. Actually, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
It is. It will be.
All right.
Gateway.
Movie morsels for A Guns Akimbo 2020.
Gateway for sure.
Gateway for sure.
Samara Weaving, who played the character of Nix, occasionally stayed in full Nix costume after long days of shooting on set. She revealed that she was frequently refused service at diners and the like because it made people so uncomfortable.
Did she tell them that she was, the niece of Elrond?
Yeah, right.
Is she?
Nix named her
Hugo
pistol Kindness. Nix named her pistol Kindness. It's written on the slide. She literally kills people with kindness. The movie playing on Miles TV when he and Nix are in his apartment is Hard Target from 1993, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh yeah, Hard Target.
They
Great
hunt
movie.
people for sport. What a coincidence. According to director Jason Leigh Howden, the title's Guns Akimbo stems from a video game called Blood that he used to play back in the 90s. The game has a power-up mode where you're running around with a single gun, and then you get this power-up called Guns Akimbo, which gives you 2 guns for 30 seconds.
I don't remember that game. Interesting.
Is it multiplayer?
The movie pays homage to dubstep artist Schism, whose video for the track Experts... Yes, the movie pays homage to the dubstep artist Schism, whose video for the track Experts has a similar plot. A nerdy troll sits in his messy room writing hateful comments as he goes through various YouTube videos related to dubstep. Later on, he gets dragged into the monitor and finds himself inside the internet, where he has to face artists such as Skrillex, Excision, Zomboy, and Eptic before facing Schism himself. I'm sure Davan knows all of those artists, and he can relate.
I've heard of Skrillex.
And this is probably the best movie morsel for this film, and this is why I saved it for last. According to director Jason Howden, when reading the script, the moment that Daniel Radcliffe wanted to play Miles was the scene where Miles has to learn to pee with his gun hands.
I figured.
Yeah. It sounds like a Daniel Radcliffe thing. Yeah.
The movie was released April 2nd, 2020, with a runtime of 95 minutes, a box office budget of... This was actually really hard to nail down. There is no...
Because apparently it didn't have like an American release in theaters.
Yeah,
at all.
It didn't have an American... Well, it did. It's April 2nd, 2020. It was released in New Zealand March 5th, 2020. And it was released in TIFF on September 9th, 2019. So technically it's a 2019 film. But the budget for this film is like, there's no confirmation. It is estimated the budget for this film is $15 million. The box office is $847,947. So less than $1 million. This is the worst performed movie in all of the 3 movies that we fucking watched.
Yeah,
if you don't release it in the US, you're not going to make a lot of money.
Well, yeah, like I think I looked at it too. It's like it got released in like Australia, New Zealand, and like Germany. Like it never, like nobody ever picked it up.
800,000's not bad.
Nobody ever picked it up for North American distribution because it's like
surprisingly good.
I still can't believe you thought it was a good. I thought you were gonna hate this movie. I thought you were
No,
gonna
man.
hate this movie as much as I did.
No,
What
it
is
said
this?
everything
What-
about the internet
how
that I
is
think.
this? How are we the fucking 2 faces of the same coin?
I don't know. No. You grow your facial hair up here, I grew mine down here, you know.
That's
That's it, right there.
That's it.
Rewatchability? No, I liked it, but I don't need to watch it again.
Yeah, that's a one-time thing for me.
Yeah, that's a one-time fucking acid trip that was too bad, and I'd never want to take again.
Yeah, it's like sometimes there are like kind of like dumb, fast-paced action movies that are like perfect for just like I'm gonna put this on and like half pay attention, and this isn't that. It's like it's too much sensory overload. Like you can't just kind of passively watch it. Like I wouldn't be able to watch it again in any capacity.
If you're looking for like a grindhouse style like
it's kind of grindhouse,
violent tour de force kind of cartoonish film, but one that's done way better. Watch Hobo with a Shotgun. That film hits all the notes that this movie was trying to hit, but it does it so with slightly better cast and slightly better just visuals.
It's a good local film, you know.
And it's a great local film, a great Halifax local film that everybody should watch. Jason Eisner did good. And I need to watch his movie Kids vs. Aliens, which we may cover on this show sometime.
Oh, yeah. Check that one out, too. Does it hold up? For me, it does. I like this movie. I don't want to watch it again, but it definitely surprised me. Like, you take that theme, and I'm like, that's going to be horrible. It was way better. Whereas these other movies were worse than I thought they would be. This one was better than I thought it would be. Now, maybe that's an expectations thing, but I don't know. I'm going to say yes.
No.
Just blow Murphy's brain up.
Take it. Oh.
What was that? Hey, hold up. Anybody?
I think we had a little
Nobody's talking no more?
interruption there.
Yeah, we lost Chow for a minute.
Oh, we lost Chow.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, he's back. He's there. He's there.
Oh,
He's
really?
back.
Yeah, we lost you
you're
there.
back
Does
now.
this one hold up, Chow?
I'm back.
Yeah.
I said no. As much fun as I had, but
no.
I don't think it's gonna hold.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a gimmick movie. Like it doesn't hold up. It's not it doesn't hit the right notes of camp for it to be like a campy cult following, and it's not.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty campy and funny.
Yeah, see, like I just feel like it doesn't like modern camp is a lot harder to pull off because you lose like when you do sort of cheap CGI, you lose some of the charm of like cheap practical effects that you get from like older kind of campy movies that became, there were bad movies but became like big cult movies. Like this movie, it just doesn't like, yeah, it just.
Well, to that statement, then
Murphy said it.
Can you make campy movies nowadays?
I don't know if you can.
The Shotgun's an excellent example. Of
Yeah,
campy movie.
see, that's one that I stayed away from because I feel like the little bits of it that I did see or hear about, it seemed like a little just too over the top violent for me.
Well, when did that movie come out?
Hobo with a Shotgun.
A while ago now. Probably like 10 years ago now.
2016,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
like...
okay. I might have some slight bias because I did some background acting on that film. So.
Oh, did you?
The old extra.
Our internet movie rankings. For me, it's Guns Akimbo at the top, and then Hackers, and then The Net, which I thought it would be the opposite, and it wasn't. I'm nothing if not surprising to the listeners of this show.
I think it's The Net. God damn, Guns Akimbo.
It's
Hackers.
so hard for you.
I could flip a coin and it could go in either spot for me.
I got a soft spot for Hackers.
I'm gonna
it changed your life.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna put Hackers above Guns Akimbo because I had more fun watching Hackers than I did Guns Akimbo. So yeah, it's gonna go The Net, Hackers, and Guns Akimbo.
So then I think we're gonna have like 4 different things. I'm Hackers, Net, Guns Akimbo for me.
All right.
We are gonna have 4 different things.
Me.
Hackers, Guns Akimbo, The Net.
Wow. This was a fascinating episode, fellas. You guys come back anytime. Gotta say.
Movies are subjective.
Yeah, man.
It's true.
Who knew? We're only proving that theory here on this podcast.
Your mom's subjective.
So there we have our list here. So those are our A movies where everyone on the show agreed it was great or holds up, and the B movies where there was some disagreement, and then our C movies. Don't watch any of those if you can help it. They're not.
What
good.
Hackers is C? Oh my god.
Yeah, nobody said it held up. I thought you guys were going to say it did,
but
you didn't.
We like it, but we don't think it holds up. Yeah.
Well, that's the hold up qualification. If you think it holds up with to this day, then say it holds up. You know?
I think I'm just nostalgic about it.
Oh shit, Gattaca is a B, huh? I love Gattaca. It's like one of my favorite movies.
Gattaca was not good.
Tales was a B, but I got finagled.
UHF.
Tales is
Now,
awesome.
network is definitely an A. Network you could watch today and be like, oh shit, this is
Yeah,
Fox
that's
News.
what I'm saying. Network
Oh,
should be a freaking
it's
A for
phenomenal. Network's phenomenal.
That
Yeah,
movie's
man.
amazing. Yeah.
So is
it's
Good
really-
Night and Good. All those A movies, again, take all of them to the bank. They're all amazing. And the B movies, you have to watch them and judge it for yourself. That's our
But hey,
categories
look at
here.
it this way: we have more A movies than we do B or C movies.
So we're seeing some good movies.
Yeah, we're not totally off the mark here. We're actually landing some decent films.
True enough. Well, it brings us to the end here. Again, thanks for joining us, KH and Chow. You know, we have an entire federation of podcasts here. The United Federation of Podcasts. Let me get rid of that banner while I do this quick rundown here. So the many shows you can check out. You can check our next episode here in 2 weeks' time. It'll be on,
give or take.
What is this? What?
We're doing Heist the next episode. We've got the
Oh,
Pink
it's
Panther.
Heists. Oh, yeah.
We're doing Pink Panther, and we've got special guest Jaemeel Robinson coming in on this one.
Yeah.
He picked his film is Out of Sight from 1998, and then I picked a German film called Victoria. So get your reading glasses out for this one. It's going to be a whole lot of subtitles, but I'm really excited to watch Victoria. This film, from my understanding, from beginning to end, was filmed in one take. And they got the entire film done on their third time trying to film the movie. So beginning to end is one actual take, not the one take and then we cut the camera and we're filming.
Fake takes.
No.
Fake
They
cuts.
literally filmed every single scene from beginning to end in this movie in one single take, and they did it 3 times and they got it on the third time. So I'm really excited for this film.
Can you imagine how much film they wasted? Well, I guess if they got it on the third time.
Well, they don't use film anymore either. They don't use film anymore.
Oh, this is one of the newer ones.
Yeah, this is the new one. It's digital. So like,
what did you say that was?
It's called Victoria.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Kyle, do you remember Elephant?
Oh yeah, I remember Elephant.
Yeah.
Elephant wasn't as bad as Jerry though, as far as long takes. Jerry had like that 11-minute like walking through the desert scene. It was it's a little tough.
But yeah,
they're both Gus Van Sant movies with his very minimalistic directing style, we'll call it, where it's like no very little cutting. Yeah, Elephant was about a school shooting, and Jerry was about 2 guys named Jerry lost in the desert, starring Matt Damon and.
Shouldn't have been called Jerry's.
It had Matt Damon and Casey Affleck lost in a desert. It was basically them just walking around for 80 minutes.
They evolved at the Jerry daycare.
On Tuesdays, you can check out me and Andre Mayet on X-Rated, the X-Men Animated Review Show. This coming Tuesday, we're interviewing a writer of the show on several episodes, Len Yulee, so that's going to be fun. And you can every 2 weeks, you can check out Andre's other interview show, Graphic Histories Podcast, where he interviews people from movies, TV, comics, and Super Matters Brothers Podcast, where they review reality shows and things of the like. And, you know, we do the Mary Mater Marvel Society over there as well, where we'll review Marvel MCU stuff as it comes out. And I have a million podcasts, so you can check me out on Fridays, and we review The Simpsons with my buddy Francis and my buddy Baker. That's fun times. We're on Dancing Homer. Cousin Dave's going to be joining us for that one.
My episode coming up soon. Next season.
Oh, what one did you pick?
Bart Jumps the Gorge.
Oh,
nice.
Pretty soon. That's a good one. You guys are welcome to come on that one as well. A newest member of the United Federation of Podcasts, Aiming on Track. I'll be guesting on the second episode of that, I believe. They just did the first one. He reviewed the entire soundtrack of Hamilton with his father, Dave Mater.
Yep.
And we have trivial debates once a month, which is a fun one. The last one was on wrestling, hosted by Murphy there.
Yeah, WrestleMania.
You know, he was a slobber knocker, a barn burner, as the good old JR would say.
Slobber knocker.
You know, yeah, they knocked the slobbers. In the Hellbound podcast, a horror movie podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. Check that out, and check out Michael Chan's new TV show on YTV, the popularity papers.
Yep.
You know, check that out if you've got YTV and you got little kids, and, aged kids. Sure, they'd love it. And if you love Star Trek, we've got a ton of Star Trek content all over our many Star Trek divisions. I'm not going to go on about it now. It's been a long night, but trust
That's
me,
a lot of Star
if you
Trek.
love Star Trek, yeah, we get a
Well,
lot.
I can see Worf in the background there. Yeah, you like and there's Picard, and then there's everyone else playing
Well, look,
poker, and there's Deep Space Nine, and there's
two of these divisions are
that
basically just
Ferengi guy. Yeah.
Where's
there
the
we go.
Death
There's my
Star?
little brand there. But all right, well, let's get out of here, fellas. It's been a long night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was fun.
Problem, man. All right, well, I guess that's it. Let's get out of here.
So yeah,
Where's my little?
You know what? I just realized.
Oh, we
I
got to do
gotta-
coming attractions. Or
We
you
did
didn't do coming attractions.
We didn't do coming attractions, and I just.
No coming attractions this
No,
week.
no, no,
That's
no, no.
fine.
I got them. I got them. I just.
No, no, no. That's good.
No, no. It's
Just
fine.
skip them.
No,
All
no,
right.
no. They're right
No
here.
skipping coming attractions. You
No,
guys
there's
don't have
never
to wait
skipping
for this.
coming
It's going to be like 10 minutes of trailers.
Give or take. But yeah, thanks for joining us for
All
the
right.
movies.
Yeah, I'll hop
have a
off.
good night and enjoy the movies.
All right. Later, gang.
Thanks, guys.
God, I hope we don't get copyright striked for this one.
Oh no, just talk
Pardon
over
me,
it.
sir, but what are you
Do
looking
my
at?
best. Yeah, what are you looking
Is
at
that
there,
by
Pink
any
Panther?
chance the picture called The Pink Panther?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Oh.
Oh, it's David Niven. And Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers just spilled some milk.
Peter Sellers is amazing.
How is he in the picture?
I hope he's great.
Rolls him in the aisle, eh?
We must find that woman.
Who else? Capucine?
Capucine?
Ah, exquisite.
Be a moment, my darling. I'll just put on my pajamas.
Darling,
Here?
look, I think I put something in my right eye.
Let me put
No,
you
I
in
mean the left. No, this one. I
You
told
don't
you.
come in the
but-
light, darling.
But,
I
darling, but it
Yeah,
hurts.
this is gonna have like some Buster
I see
Keaton
Robert
style
Wagner's
humor, and
in
I'm
it,
all
too.
for it.
Yeah, it could be.
And what is your impression of that new Italian star, Claudia Cardinale?
No weird trailer though.
It's the weirdest trailer.
The Virgin.
Man,
I'm not the
And it's
queen.
looks like it's gonna be a fun movie.
It's only half an answer.
I was 6 when I went on my first safari.
Safari.
Frazari.
Fazari.
Wild animal hunt.
Oh, sir, what are you looking at now? Are those the bedroom scenes? Aha, they are, aren't they? Come on, don't be so selfish.
Don't be so shy.
There's hiding under the bed.
George. Oh,
That's more like.
no, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, I'm planning on it. Why should anybody want me to go to Brunico?
No.
God.
This is again a super long trailer. My
It's
God.
all right.
I understand that the picture features the music of Henry Mancini. And introduces Fran Jeffries.
Like, I don't know any of these names.
No.
Domani, oh my, domani chi lo sa, perché sarà?
Can you give me some idea of what takes place in the picture?
Look out! Good evening.
Take your filthy hands off my ass.
Most most unfortunate, Mr. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I didn't get the name.
Pink Panther. Burnish Company. Directed by Blake Everett.
It may only happen a few times in your life.
Oh, once.
Creators of Get Shorty.
And you always remember it because it was there and you let it go. And you think to yourself, what if I had stopped?
The Cry.
No bills off the bottom of the drawer, please. It's your first time being around me. You're doing great. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
The Bus.
I think you flooded it. Get out of the car, sir.
Well, you're the reason, my friend, that I don't keep all my money in the bank.
Be surprised what all you can get and ask for it the right way.
The Break.
It's okay, we're the good guys.
What are you doing here?
You're just a girl. What do you do for a living? You pack a shotgun.
I'm a federal marshal and you're under arrest.
I'm in. Let's go. Hey, you company?
You have got to be kidding.
Now you be a good girl. Now I'm gonna open up the trunk.
You want to sit down and have cocktails with a woman who tried to shoot you.
It was an unusual experience.
Wow, you are mean.
Oh, what, one last score? You tired of some island? Is that the idea?
Partial to mountains myself. If you like islands, we're picking an island.
I'm not exactly a 9 to 5 type.
Who is?
Happy birthday.
Oh, my God. It's beautiful. Thanks, Dad.
Here, ma'am, let me help you with these.
Now, I didn't ask for your help, so don't expect a tip.
Oh, that's okay, ma'am. I'll just take your car.
I've vertically integrated myself. Now I'm into the occasional grand larceny, home invasion.
Huh. He waved at you?
Couldn't swear to it, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Did you wave back?
Jeez, are shooting men.
Sit down, Dick. They're trying to open up the safe. Not
Albert
your maid.
Brooks.
Ever wear one of these?
One of the greatest voice actors of all time, man. The characters he plays on The Simpsons.
Handle myself.
So
We wanted to tussle. We tussled.
Whoops.
Damn it, Jack. Put the gun down.
well, it's gonna be another one where I haven't seen any of the movies before.
You're having too much fun.
Yes.
This one's got a good soundtrack, though. Hey, Jaemeel's here. What's up, Jaemeel? Yeah, you're joining us in a couple weeks.
I don't speak German.
What you do now?
I'm leaving.
Hey, this club will be ours.
What's your name?
Victoria.
My name's Ronnie. Nice to meet you. That's Boxer.
And that's Blinker.
All in English so far.
It's gonna be a mix.
Are you stealing? You touched my ass. Say sorry. With a heart.
Sorry.
I have to do Boxer a favor.
It's something bad to do. Boxer! The car is not going on! The car is not going on!
This isn't a heist movie. This is a getaway movie.
I want to go with you.
Das finde ich scheiße. Ich spreche
Well, maybe not. Maybe they're gonna do a new Sting.
Don't think I'm a bad guy, okay? Boxer, was ist das für eine Scheiße, Mann?
Shit, man.
Hey, Nobody talks in Germany in the elevator. It's forbidden.
I'm gonna break the rules. I'm gonna break the rules.